overnight. Very excited about it. If you guys could hit like and go ahead and share this out, that would be wonderful. Oak, what's up? Yo, how you doing today? But yeah, there's a lot, guys. So the FOMC meeting. So this is the most uncertain FOMC meeting on record. It says September 2024, most uncertain FOMC meeting since data starts in 2015. So it shows that this meeting tomorrow should be a lot of fun. Markets today are looking really good heading into the morning. And again, the CME Fed Watch tool is showing an over 2-to-1 odd, or I should say real close, right at 2-to-1 for 50 bips instead of 25, which is a crazy number to think of. Let's look at the Fear and Greed Index and see how we're sitting this morning, both in the stock market and crypto. Bitcoin up 59,200 today. It looks like the stock market, Fear and Greed, is 52, so still well within neutral. And let's look at Fear and Greed on the crypto side of things. 33, so still very, very, very deep and ready to pop. Also, we've got oil down almost 2% this morning. We've got the dollar that looks like it's ready to roll over, which is a super positive sign for markets. Let me actually real quickly here. So we've got about 27 minutes until we get a lot of economic data. And if we're looking, you'll see, hey, Silas, good morning, dude. Rahul, good morning. What's up, my friend? So if we look here, we'll see we've got retail sales related data. We've got Red Book. Again, just more retail. Industrial production, capacity utilization, manufacturing production, business inventories. That's going to be the big part. And the business inventories don't come till 9. And some of this Fed manufacturing information and industrial doesn't come until 8:15. So we got a little bit of time on that. But there is a lot happening today. Without further ado, let's look at pre-markets in the stock market. Just 1 second here. All right, let's look at our heat map. So as you can see, it's a pretty good day in the markets. NVIDIA up almost 1%, Microsoft up 1.7%. If you guys didn't see the news, they're increasing the size of their dividend. We also saw amazing news from Intel with a partnership, I believe, with Microsoft. Let's take a look at that real quick too. Here, I'll just pull up a Bitcoin chart while we're getting ready to go into that. So again, Bitcoin looking solid. Back right at the 50 moving average, I think over it, or at least it's testing it on the daily time frame. So that, again, this thing wants to go higher. Very excited about that. But let's look up Intel real quick here too and see how it's doing in the morning. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening right now, guys, that does not scream recession. So yeah, Intel yesterday up 6.36%. In pre-market up 7.22. So this is a hell of a bounce, guys. And when you get this kind of double wicking pattern back above peak volume, at least on this more local time frame here, it's a really good sign. I'm actually going to move this back down because we know where our bottom is now, and it's pretty deep. But this is looking good. I did fix my default browser thing. I got that working, which is nice. I still need to. I just had my 1 sec. I just got to move one thing around here. You guys talk amongst yourselves. Let me know if you have questions about anything that's happening this morning. I got to fix a couple of things on my other computer so that I can make sure that X is working good on that, and I can get the chat stream going here too. 1 second, and let me fix this. Just dancing all over the place. Yeah, let me see here. Good morning from Kenny. Yo, it's early in California. I'm sure it is. What are you guys, 2 hours behind? 5:05? You're working the morning show. That's for sure, Kenny. Jeez. All right, so let me see. I got that up now, I think. Yeah, okay, good. So we got it up now. Now I can see chat clearly on X as well. And it looks like, yes, my main screen is working too. Sweet. Let me just see if I can resize the window here on that. I'm trying to get it to where I can. Yeah, okay. Awesome. So John's Thor from X says, "Hey Jesse and chat, I wondered if you could clarify, seeing as your trading view of Oracle, the futures market tickers S&P and Nasdaq show they're up 1.5 and 1.8 respectively, yet Yahoo account in the low 0.3 bips on both. I mean, it just depends. It depends on what you're looking at and the timing of it, right? So some of these report quicker. So some of them, like mine, I pay extra to get real-time data on a lot of different indices. So it just really depends. And if you're talking about Oracle, the company, let me see here real quick. I think I have that in here. I'm seeing 0.76 in pre-market. So 171.62. If you're talking about Oracle, that's what I'm seeing right now. Real time. Should be really real time. All right, let's keep going here, guys. So lots of stuff happening today. Again, this is going to be the most interesting FOMC on record, and we know that there's over 2-to-1 that we're getting a 50 bip cut. So they set it up for the 50 bips. So we'll see how that ends up going. But let's look through other economic data that's coming overnight. And if you guys have any other news too, let me know. But again, you can see, I'm sorry, it was Intel and Amazon. So we got an increase on dividend from Microsoft, which gave them that nice pop this morning. And then at the same time, we have Intel and Amazon announced an extended multi-year, multi-billion-dollar partnership that initially shot up Intel over 11% overnight. I can tell you, boy, everybody, all these bears ready for the bear market. This does not seem very bear market-y at all. Also, let's look here, just global liquidity. My friend Quentin, who normally posts all Bitcoin and does have Bitcoin in this, is just referencing global liquidity and the upthrust that we've seen here and what we're looking to see when you look at the Fed, the ECB, the PBOC, People's Bank of China, the Bank of Japan, Bank of England, RBA, BOC, CBR, BBB, BDEM. They're all showing that we're going to see global liquidity increasing, and that's going to be a huge thing for markets and for the price of Bitcoin. And he was just showing you what it had done before for the price. Bitcoin doesn't need global liquidity to be going up. It needs stability, but it can certainly rock when it does go up. Also, I put robots will take your jobs and increase productivity and boost the economy at the same time. And it just shows how Chipotle is now using less people and feeding robots. They're doing tests of this right now in like a beta stage. And they're having these things do all the work. The people just feed it, and then the machine does all the work so that it saves a couple of additional staff from having to be used at the stores. You're going to see more stuff like that, obviously, right? You're going to see AI, you're going to see robotics taking more and more jobs in the future. I think that's pretty inevitable. Also, Sawyer Merritt posted this the other day. And again, we have about 20 minutes until we get our first round of economic data. In this, he says electric vehicles are already displacing nearly 1.8 million barrels of oil every day, roughly the same amount as Mexico consumes, according to Bloomberg NEF. That number is set to double by 2027 and triple by 2029, causing oil use in the road sector to peak in 3 years. I actually think it'll happen quicker than that. But yeah, so this just gives you an idea of, again, the peak and then the rollover in oil consumption. We'll use it for a lot of other stuff. We still need to produce tons of it, in my opinion. But at the same time, you guys have to realize that things are changing very quickly here. And so what we should start seeing lower oil per barrel within the next couple of years here, just based upon less consumption. All right, let me see what else we got for chat here. So my one chat, my Restream dumped on me. Thank you, Restream. You suck. Let's go ahead and look over on X, see what we got over there if anybody's talking. I already answered that one. No, you're the TradingView Oracle. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that, John Store. Akash says we're going through a fresh censorship here in Spain. Our government spokesperson blaming Elon about all of Spain's problems. Yeah, that seems to be a popular thing, guys. That's something that's happening not just in Spain. Obviously, it's happening in the UK. It's happening in Brazil. It's happening in Australia. But there are people fighting back, and I believe that there's some hope. I know it seems pretty dark, though, in some places, and maybe even here. All right, let's keep going. Let's rock and roll. Let's get through stuff. Let me see here. Got a bunch of mornings. Construction never sleeps, bro. That's true. It does not. It does not. I was unable to do construction. I learned that very quickly. You guys work super freaking hard. I work more with my brain than I do physicality because it is really hard to do what you guys are doing. I want to actually show you something on that note. And again, this is political. I'm sorry for people that don't like politics. I really don't like politics either, but I feel a need to talk about them. I want to show something actually from Australia, if I can, real quickly here. If I can find it. There's one thing I wanted to show. It was pretty awesome. Right here. Is this it? Nope, this isn't it. Something else. Looks like a guy from Australia. Right here. I want to show this. This is in Australia, guys. These are people that are tired of a lot of the stuff that's been going on. They were tired of COVID and how it was handled. I just want you to listen to this. I'm going to put my headset on because I don't want to blast it out. I forgot to do that today. Got to have a checklist. I need like a studio with like a person who's like, make sure you do the things. But listen to this. This guy right here, it says, listen to Senator Malcolm Roberts. He's talking about COVID and how the government was handled with things. And you can tell there's backlash around the world with this whole World Economic Forum. You'll be subservient. We're going to do censorship and all of that. Listen to what he has to say. This guy's a baller.
It's become clear that people in this country and globally have been steamrolled. It is also clear that it has been coordinated globally. It is also clear that it has been integrated, not just over 6 months, not just over 2.5 years, but it has been planned over decades. The changes to legislation in this country were done so that they could control doctors and people. But the people are waking, and it's thanks to people like Dr. Altman and all the presenters here today, thanks to people like Senator Babette and Craig Kelly. We know and we knew that this is all bullshit.
He's saying it's bullshit. This is so good, guys.
Bullshit. And that we've been had. But we are going to hound you down, the people that are guilty. We are going to hound you down and hold you accountable. And we will expose your global agenda so that the people of Australia can be free in the future. Because I love my kids, and I'm looking forward to my grandkids. And we are going to save this country.
Fuck yeah, bro. I'm sorry. I don't want to get deep into politics, guys, but I just got to say that's beautiful, in my opinion. I'm very excited about it. Let's jump into Bitcoin-related news right now. There's so much going on right now. So in case you didn't know, there was another, after the $1.2 billion that MicroStrategy already purchased here just in the last 2 weeks, we're also seeing that MicroStrategy put out another $700 million, I think it was convertible debt offering. And so they're just buying. Now there's an article in here too that says another Bitcoin miner adopts MicroStrategy's playbook of buying BTC in the open market. And we'll just hop in here real quick. It says Cathedra. I don't even know who that is, guys. They can't be very large. But the only reason I'm pulling this up is I actually think this is something we're going to see a lot of in the future. We're going to see a lot of people doing this Bitcoin playbook from MicroStrategy. They're going to be looking to game the system as much as possible in order to be able to use debt and offerings and share dilution to buy up as much Bitcoin as they can because it enriches their company in the future. It's just a brilliant move. Also, Tether just minted $1 billion in USDT on Ethereum, and it only cost 46 cents. But from my experience, when Tether starts minting billions of dollars, they're doing it to get ready for heavy volumes in the future. And they're doing this right before the FOMC. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., we'll get that Fed rate decision, and I think that's super exciting to be able to see this. Let me kind of look through chat here, too. What's up, Jesse? Glad you weren't talking to yourself for 3 minutes when the stream started. Hey, dude, it was like 2 minutes, minute and a half. Give me a break. Disease Kodak. I have done it a few times, though. So I have $10,000 in credit card debt right now, 0% interest. Should I do a CC transfer of 0% in soon? I'll hurt my credit score, but I'll be able to keep buying Tesla. Gosh, man, stuff like that. Again, not a financial advisor. You got to make sure that you don't bury yourself in debt that you can't afford. Have I done stuff like that to be able to push debts off? Yes. Is that easier to do when you have a wife and you could jockey debt back and forth with balance transfer offers? That way one of you always has pristine credit. Yes, that's an even better way to do it. So if you're married, Disease Kodak, that's a great way of doing it. But I would definitely try and see if you can get at least an 18-month or something like that credit card offer where you don't have to worry about it for a year and a half. I do think markets are going to do really well, but that's a super personal decision, man, that involves debt too, that can really wreck you. So, just be cautious when you're doing stuff like that. I definitely wouldn't get crazy with options and not shorter dated stuff for sure if you're going to do it. You said, curious what you think. I think maybe I should do it. I'll buy miners for weeks, maybe then. I mean, I think that's going to turn out well for you, but you have to be mentally prepared for if it doesn't when you're taking out debt like that, Disease. You really do. C-List, this is why some of them are talking about universal basic income. They've seen it coming. See, I'm okay with universal basic income. That will happen when you have your avocado machines. You'll definitely have that. I don't think it's going to cause its own series of complications. I've talked about that before. People, when they don't feel like they have a purpose, and when robots are taking your jobs and AI is taking your job, there's going to be a lot of that. And then just getting a little bit of a paycheck. There's going to have to be some meritocracy type thing where there's incentive plans to be able to increase how much you can make. And there's some incentive to work still for people that want to try and do better. It's going to be weird. David Chapinda, more politics like him. Hell yeah. Les Walter, Palantir up on Nebraska healthcare contract. Yeah, let's actually take a look here real quick too. Let me hop over. We'll look at a bunch of things this morning. Like I said, oil's down, Bitcoin's up. A lot of the right stuff is moving today. Don't hate it very much, that's for sure. Let's look at my watch list, and I got to clean this up. But I'm going to sort by percentages and just see where we're sitting. So, this doesn't do pre-market though. That's no fun at all. Yeah, it doesn't. That's not going to be helpful. Let's roll through some of the list here while we're waiting. We have 12 minutes on the economic data. Again, guys, getting retail sales this morning, so that won't be too shocking. And then at 8:15, that'll be the larger group of data, roughly an hour from now, about 55 minutes from now. That's when we get the industrial and manufacturing and business inventories. That's the big stuff before tomorrow's Fed meeting. Outside of that, it's just straight up Fed. Let's actually go over here. So we'll refresh and look how the morning's going. It looks like, if anything, things are picking up steam this morning in pre-market. Tesla, it says 0.55. Let me just refresh, make sure we're getting the full thing here. And I believe I get the most timely I can in pre-market too, for the S&P. So it's looking pretty green, guys. There's not a lot to hate. Let's look at the crypto heat map index as well. You can see at least performance over the last day. Bitcoin is the leader. BNB is doing okay. Others, altcoins are trailing, but really Bitcoin is taking the lead. I don't hate that in this kind of environment. I think that's probably a really positive sign. And I want to show you guys the dollar. I've been talking about this for a while. You can see how I had this line. I don't think it's going to make it that far, guys. I think this is the new path, and I think it's going to be even steeper. There's talk of, and again, we knew something had happened with the Japanese carry trade. I told you guys it was going to happen, right? And let me fix something. Our viewer count seems to be a little out of date. It seems like we've got a lot more people than I would have thought this early in the morning, so I'm going to hit refresh. But yeah, so we had thought, I told you before that I thought the Japanese carry trade was going to be fine, and that the Fed and the Treasury would work together in order to be able to make arrangements with Japan to be able to keep stability in their yen in order to keep that trade from unwinding completely. And it appears, I mean, again, it unwound a little bit. Maybe they let a little bit of the elasticity happen within it, but that does appear to have happened, and they might have even had a relationship with China and trying to help the yuan too. Unconfirmed, but I think these things are happening. We're seeing this weakness in the dollar, and again, we're also seeing some freeness in China where they should be able to stimulate more, and then we're not seeing the unwind of the Japanese carry trade. So these are all beautiful things right now. As the dollar goes down, this will be beneficial to markets. And if we look real quickly here, so that's great. It's great that the dollar's going down today. Let's also look at the VIX and see how volatility is sitting this morning. So we're seeing with the VIX down again today. Again, we had the biggest impulse in history, and then we had the biggest VIX crush in history, at least going all the way back to where the VIX started, which is back in the 90s, right? Like late 90s. So again, over 25 years at least in the VIX history where we hadn't seen anything like it. And we started to bounce again because of that oscillation upward just from that huge impulse. But it's coming down again, and we like that. That's not a bad thing, guys. If we look over at the MOVE, the bond volatility index, when we look over here, we're seeing that this thing is looking ready to roll over. It's going up a little bit today, but for the most part, it looks like it wants to come down, and that's great. Concord from X says, good morning. What's up, bud? Paul from X says, sweet. Thanks for choice, bro. C-list BITF are growing mushrooms and cannabis with their extra heat. That's hilarious, but hey, man, whatever. Diversify your business model. That's great. And plus, I don't think cannabis and mushrooms are a negative thing. I know some people do, but I don't. Main stage news: a Fed rate cut decision Wednesday and Friday. There's a triple witching event. Oh, great for options expiration. That and daily cycle low in the SPX should time out towards end of September or beginning of October. I'm not likely gonna wait. I think that here's the thing. Everybody is expecting, we already had Tom Lee and others tell us that the second half of September is going to be brutal, right? That was telegraphed out to the investing world. For that reason, I think it won't be. Could be wrong, but again, we're getting ready to lower rates. The economy doesn't look like at a glance it's going to collapse. Albeit, Trueflation does still have us, I think, in the 1% range, guys. Let me jump back here. I'm going to search for that real quick here. Let me get out of bookmarks. I don't know why my sidebar. X gets weird sometimes, guys. Let me just get into here super fast. Sometimes the sidebar doesn't populate right. But let me just get into Trueflation here. You guys have to see this. I do believe Trueflation usually tends to be early. And they had inflation at higher levels than the government previously reported. And then they had it at lower levels. But if we look down here, let me see if they got it. They got so much crap in here. UK inflation rate still at 3%, so they're still idling high. But in the US, they have, God, they post so much crap. Right here, look at this. This was their last read. I don't know what it looks like today. I need to start using this more again. But 1.11%. If that's true, we're getting frighteningly close to deflation, and we're going to need to fix that. So I think this is a very real thing that's going to affect markets. I do want to hop back over real quick while we have 7 minutes. There goes the thing again. Why are you gone? Look at that. It's just gone. It's just gone. My side panel, just gone. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just the way it's sized. So strange. Let's go back to Bitcoin, though. And I'll just zoom in here a little bit. So again, we've got other people trying to do the MicroStrategy playbook. We've got Tether getting ready for the FOMC and getting ready to provide liquidity to the markets. Cryptos R Us posted this metric, and I thought it was a good one. It says addresses sending Bitcoin to exchanges has hit an 8-year low. The sellers are running out. So again, this just shows that, OTC wise, over the counter trading, and just with Bitcoin hitting exchanges, we're hitting record low numbers. And the availability of just money that's sitting on there. If you look at other metrics too, like balances on exchange, they're a lot lower than they have been historically. At a time where we're going to be seeing increased demand, especially with liquidity picking up. And so I think that this is just going to be more rocket fuel to the upside. I really do. Let me see here. You're joking about BITF? Oh, okay. Well, if they did it, man, hey, diversification is cool. We got enough we got enough high performance compute companies out there, HPC. So we could use some diversification. And honestly, I don't think that's a crazy idea. I had a warehouse. I know it's a joke, but I had a warehouse. The heat you produce is fucking insane, and you can manage that with a system, with your system of fan cooling. Nobody uses air conditioning, but you could use fans to blow the heat out. But you could keep it at like the perfect temperature to be able to grow things too. So as much as that is a joke, I think you could actually use that for like vertical farming or something to reduce some of the costs as far as having to warm things up and heat them. You could make that stuff work, especially if you had your own warehouse. I don't know how economical it would be, but it might be kind of fun. Hey, Disease Kodak, always a good idea to avoid paying credit card interest. Credit comes over time, but compounding interest is horrific. I definitely wouldn't leave the interest sitting the way that it is, for sure. Also, not just are we seeing Bitcoin on the lowest amounts of Bitcoin being sent to exchanges, or record lows, or at least recent lows, at least 52-week lows on Bitcoin on exchange, but and companies that are following MicroStrategy's strategy of buying Bitcoin with debt and share dilution. But Bhutan has over 13,000 Bitcoin from mining operations. That's about over 50% of what Mara has for their total Bitcoin holdings. I just don't think people are paying enough attention that governments are doing this too. We have El Salvador doing the same kind of thing, mining Bitcoin with volcanic heat. So there's just a lot going on. And for people that don't understand, or want a quick message of why Bitcoin is the future, this is one of the best ones I've found. This is a 23-second clip talking about why Bitcoin is the future and what makes it special. And I'm just going to play it real quick.
So just to be clear, Bitcoin is a non-sovereign, hard cap supply, global, immutable, decentralized, digital store of value. And that's a lot of different adjectives, but all of them are very important. And what that leads us to is It is a hedge against monetary and fiscal irresponsibility from central banks and governments globally. So just to be clear,
and that's the thing, right? Against monetary instability and basically governments not doing a good job managing their finances. And when we know that debt to GDP on average across the world is over 300%, and our own debt in this country is over 130%, we know that that's a real problem that needs addressing, and Bitcoin helps solve it. We have 2 minutes until economic data. I'm just going to run through a couple more of these. So again, Bitcoin Freedom says bull run is about to start. He said, double rate cut in 2 days. Michael Dell tweeting about Bitcoin. Only 450 new BTC mined per day. MicroStrategy to buy 900 million more. 16 billion in cash coming to FTX creditors. Russia to allow Bitcoin mining from November 1st on. 370,000 Bitcoin taken off exchanges since February. And again, just all the other stuff that we just looked at right now, too. And again, El Salvador already has 5,750. They're buying Bitcoin every day and they're mining it. There's just so much going on. I love this too. The Bitcoin therapist, he says, Michael Saylor found the infinite money glitch, and he said the Bitcoin playbook of the century. Convert cash to Bitcoin, MicroStrategy goes up. Take out more debt, MicroStrategy goes up. Sell personal holdings, MicroStrategy goes up. Issue more stock, MicroStrategy goes up. Join the S&P, MicroStrategy goes up. Again, it's just like there's so much, especially right now, there's going to be so much of this happening. It's going to be nuts. Let's jump back over. We're getting ready to go here. I'm going to get caught up with chat as we're rocking and rolling. It looks like Kenny Brown said heavy equipment operator, construction. Yep, lots of hours too. I'm sure of that. Hey, you could benefit from Trump being the president if you're getting overtime hours and he's not taxing you for them. That would probably be a huge bump in your paycheck. Concord, good morning. Paul Terrell, sweet. Thanks for this choice, bro. No problem, Paul. And Angela, Microsoft News will rock this stock. Again, it's great stuff. Huge increase in their dividend, and they've got enough cash to be able to get away with that. So it's very exciting what's coming out of Microsoft. Let's see what else we got here. Silas said cannabis one can easily become a bad thing, but not usually a very bad thing. It also depends on the person. I don't think a lot of people again. Here's the thing. I think weed is like a better version of alcohol. I've known so many more people do stupid shit off of alcohol than marijuana. And I think, again, you could get lazy and stupid off of weed. I think that's very possible. But I don't think you're going to go out and rob a bank. I don't think you're going to go assault people because you're drunk and they looked at you the wrong way. So I would argue that it's still less of a concern. And then even mushrooms nowadays, I think they're using that for a lot of medical purposes. They're using it for post-traumatic stress disorders. They're finding large benefit from it. Oh, hey, here we go, guys. We're getting retail sales numbers. Let's take a look here. See what it looks like. See if these drive the market. I don't know. I think industrial and manufacturing data in business inventories and capacity utilization at 8:15 is going to be more meaningful. It looks like a little month over month negative. Inflation, Canadian inflation. I don't care about Canadian inflation. Come on, people. It looks like retail sales, ex autos, it was 0.2%. Let me get some of this other crap off my screen. All this stuff's rolling in. I'm just going to refresh. So it looks like retail sales, ex autos and gas, month over month was 0.2. We were expecting 0.3, so that looks good. Retail sales, ex autos is 0.1. We were expecting 0.3 and 0.2. That looks good. Let me go back here. I didn't want to go in there. And retail sales month over month, just the generic number was forecasted -3, and negative 0.2. I'm sorry, but actual was 0.1. So these aren't horrible. This is kind of a wash. This is kind of when you get rid of auto, the retail sales number month over month is a positive one, and we were expecting negative territory. So I think the market's going to like this. Let's go back here. Let's see what else. We're waiting on retail sales year over year. This is my favorite metric because the month over month is noisy, and we get our good visuals from the year over year. So we'll wait for that to populate right now. Thank you to the 203 people that are here. If you could go ahead and smash that like, that would be wonderful. Let me just save this real quick. Sometimes this thing gets weird. Yeah, 2.1%. So well within line. So we expected 2.2% for the forecast. For the retail sales year over year, we got 2.1. So nothing crazy, nothing dramatically low, kind of within line. Let's see how the market's doing with this too. It looks like, again, we're trending higher. NVIDIA's up 1.1% right now. Tesla's up 0.61. So we're seeing the market just kind of, Microsoft's almost 2. we're seeing the market just continue to kind of grind a little bit higher on this news. So nothing negative there, guys. I think it's actually pretty positive data. While we're waiting here, we kind of run through some of the BTC tapping. Yeah, let's look at Bitcoin again. Let me look over here. I think I had you right here. Yeah, looking good. Again, almost 59.2. This is a nice little bounce. I think I called this yesterday that we're going to keep going higher here. And just look at this on the weekly, too. It looks very powerful. If we just zoom this over, I'll get rid of the RSI and MACD. If this is how the week ended up ending, this would be bullish. But I think we're actually going to probably end it closer to 65, honestly. That's my thought process right now. Let's look at other things, though. Let's see, though, how the S&P... Let's see how we're doing for percentages this morning. S&P looking like a breakout zone, guys. Such a beautiful... Look at this. Oh, my God. This is such... Some morons would probably call this a triple top, but this is getting ready to explode. I think today we could be above... We're probably going to break the .618, or I should say by tomorrow at the latest. Maybe we grind up there. Maybe we get right to this, and then we have the Fed decision from tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and then we have them again talking at 1:30. I will be doing a show for that, guys, as usual. I'll be doing these market opens. The time will vary. It'll be between probably 7:30, and at the latest 8, depending upon when the economic data is released. I'll probably start at least at 7:30 every day. I think I'm just going to try and keep a normal routine going on, but that'll be happening. And then whenever there's economic data, big data like Fed decisions, I'll always do a live stream there. And then I'm going to have the market recap this afternoon, and then I'm going to do political stuff probably in the afternoons too. Today I'm going to try and set up my Discord, so that should be fun. See if I can get that going too. Just trying to do a lot, balance my life and everything else I'm trying to do at the same time. But I think the Discord is going to provide value to me as well as you, which is important. And so I'm really excited about getting that going. Let's look at the NASDAQ. Again, it's going to be a similar thing as what we're seeing in the S&P. Very much wants to break higher. Left us at a really great point yesterday. This thing wants to scream, and it's getting ready to. Let's look at the RUT and see how we ended up yesterday. Again, just look at all of these guys. These are all ready to break out. I don't see how anybody could be bearish right now. What's gold doing this morning? Gold down 0.37. I don't think that's a big deal. It was up a decent amount. So it's up a total of 34% almost in 13 years. Kind of a shitty number, but people in gold like it. Don't tell what's his name? Not Peter Thiel. Peter. Oh my God. Why am I forgetting his name? Whatever. You guys know it. You guys will say it in chat. All right, let's look over here. We've got U.S. oil sitting at. Why am I not getting this screen? Why am I not getting? Let me just do this real quick here. How do I get out of the watch list on this? Oh, there we go. Down 2% on the day. Again, looking like it's going to roll over while the dollar's going down, while the VIX is going down, while the MOVE index is kind of. Peter Schiff, thank you, Stefan. I don't know why my brain couldn't think of that. Not enough coffee today. I probably shouldn't be drinking chai latte, but. What a cute mug, huh? All right, so oil's rolling over. So many good things happening right now. Let's look at the 2-year. I haven't looked at that in a while. See, we're getting that breakdown that I love so much. I told you guys this was coming. We're at 3.58. I think you could expect that to roll over a lot in the coming 36 hours with what's happening with the Fed. Let's look at the inversion. We didn't look at that yesterday. We're uninverted again. We're uninverted again, guys, so we're back above this. Let's see if that continues. Let's check out the yen and the yuan. We were kind of talking about that earlier. So again, I think these are sitting very strong. If you look over here, you can see how it was dangerous levels. The Japanese carry trade was unwinding when we were above the 160s over here because we had gotten back to levels that the yen hadn't seen since 1986. So that's really crazy movement. And if you look at what happened from March of 2021 to that, it was very scary. But look at it since. Look at how well it's come back. It's doing really good. And I'm betting the yuan too is just chilling out this morning too. Up 0.05% again, well off its recent highs. So this looks good for the yuan as well. It doesn't look like it's going to fall apart. Let's look at the put-call ratio. Are people buying insurance? No, they are not. Nobody gives a fuck about insurance, guys. Nobody's buying puts right now. It's crushing. This is a beautiful thing. Look at this. Some of the lowest levels we've seen on this thing going all the way back to March of 2022 when things were really breaking down. This is amazing. Let me just hop back into here real quick. All right. Microsoft News will rock the stock market. Angela says. Oak says you have a lot of people watching, Jesse. Yeah, it's a decent amount for the morning show. I think that will grow more. I think we'll be competition to meet Kevin, and I'm better than he is at evaluating all this stuff, so it should grow. If you guys could again share this out in whatever way you have, it's greatly appreciated. Darren, will there be sell the news after the FOMC rate cuts in the event of 0.25, 0.5, or 0.7? 0.75 is not a thing. But can there be a 0.5? I think there could be a 0.5. Will there be a 0.5? It could be 0.25. It doesn't really matter. It's all about the pitch at 1:30. My guess is that we rally up into it. SoFi passes $8. Not surprised at all. Again, we've been calling that for a while. Yeah, it all depends on the pitch at 1:30. So my guess is we run up until the 1 o'clock. Then we sell off from 1 to 1:30 before the Fed speaks. And then Papa Powell says a bunch of things about how everything's going to be okay and how maybe he does a 50 bips, but everything's going to be okay. We're trying to front load it. He'll give us that punch in the face, kind of like he did when he went from inflation is transitory to the fastest rate hike cycle in history. I think we'll see something like that. Bitcoin man, TMF is rocketing. I'm not surprised. Again, we're going to see that's been a good play. It's not going to do as well as the stocks, but we'll just look at TLT, the underlying asset, real quick. You can see over here that this thing is screaming. And again, it can go much higher, guys. It can go much higher. I'm going to put it up here to the 106 range. And TMF is like a 3x multiplier to that. So it's doing really well too. Got to remember, guys, this is insane to look at. People don't understand the gravity of this. The bond market had one of the worst routes it had seen in hundreds of years since the founding of this fucking country. So when the bond market, when the 20-year drops 54% over a short period of time, there is going to be some elasticity to the upside. That's just how it's going to work. George says, good morning. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Silas, in traditional houses in the Alps in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, the cows are kept under the home so their body heat helps warm the home above. That totally makes sense. Les Walter, question, overtime taxes by states. Are most on federal tax? If so, states will be unhappy. I hope it's true, especially in Minnesota. Yeah, you guys, you're fucked in Minnesota because you got state tax and federal, but most of the overtime tax is going to be at the federal level as far as I know, but I also don't know Minnesota state tax very well, so you'd have to figure that out. Somebody on X, I can't, it looks like they're a dot. Good morning. Right now, would you put 10K in BTC or miners for the short-term gain? I mean, man, I think further out than that. I would be in multipliers right now. I wouldn't be in Bitcoin, the underlying asset, as the big return right now. As I tell people on here all the time, I'm in multipliers early in the cycle, and then I leverage out of them. I was in a ton of options-related multipliers for Bitcoin miners like CleanSpark, Mara, and a few others. A year and a half ago, I exited a bunch of those, the options plays, and then just bought the underlying assets for the miners themselves. And then as I make shit tons of money over the next 6-9 months, maybe even longer, I'll dial out of those miners completely, and then I'll be like in Bitcoin ETF related stocks. You take away the multiplier as you make shit tons of money, right? If that makes sense. All right, BTC tapping the 50 moving average, at least on the daily. Yes, Akash, it is. It's looking beautiful. And let's keep rolling along here while we're going. I do want to see real quickly, somebody was talking about SoFi. Let's look at that while we're talking here, guys. So Jesse, Sela says, Jesse, do you think Hood is a better bet than SoFi? I like it for the options play. Yes, I'm making a lot of money off of Hood right now for the options play. And for the people that don't know, I do have a small 6-figure amount in Hood, and I've made so much money off of Hood. I made 500-600% already, and now I'm going round 2 on Hood. And I think round 2 is going to get me past 1,000% maybe, or at least another 200-300%, which I can just stack onto the gains that I already had. So it ain't a bad thing, and that's for sure. Let me do this. I'm going to scroll over. This is showing losses from yesterday, so just ignore some of that. It has to recalc in the morning, so it's not really good for today's data. And you can see that almost all those losses, it looks like it's calculating, were under Tesla yesterday. But if we look at Hood, and it's not really showing it today, but I have about 118,000 in that. It's up about 50% on my 2026s. My 2025 still showed 212%, but again, I cashed out of those much higher in the cycle. But I do think Hood's going to do really well. From an options play, I'd say that's probably the better one, but you'd have to recalculate. Again, I'm basing this off of my entry point, and my entry point was 2.13, and now it's at 320, so it's up 50% already, right? So that was great for me. My numbers look great. Does it look great right now? They're probably comparable. And I do think SoFi does really well. Their lending is going to increase. We've already seen that. We've already seen that from their CEO talking about how Anthony Noto talking about how they're expanding lending, or at least hinting to it with $300 referral programs. So I think that's definitely happening. Dougie Fresh says yes. Akash, Mr. Powell can turn bearish everybody within seconds. No, he won't though. That's not his objective. He doesn't want to crash the market. He needs the market to go up. We need a bounce. We need the markets to do well, and then eventually they need to try and push people harder into the bond market. But they're already kind of doing that from what we see, right? Even the 20-year is getting people into the bonds. People are jumping out of the regular money markets where they're making 4%, 4.5%, and they've got a decision now. Do I want to put this money in a money market fund where I can make 5% for whatever time and maybe get some of that upside, or I'm sorry, in a bond in bonds and lock in longer time frames? Or B, do I buy stocks? I think if people are optimistic, they're going for stocks, right? Warren Buffett he doesn't love bonds. He loves stocks. And when market routs occur, he's not picking up as many bonds as he can get. He's picking up all the stocks he can fit into his coffers, and they've got hundreds of dollars just waiting. He's probably going to wait another year or two before he's really able to capitalize on that. But again, that's what we're looking at right now. We're looking at people jumping into both, but stocks will prevail. Let me see here. So yeah, SoFi passes $8. Yeah, it's at 8.16. Like I said, once we get over the .618, is a real quick trip for SoFi to get to the 950 range, guys. There is nothing keeping us back. So expect it. And then after that, another quick trip to the 1184 range. Expect that too. And then the next one, the real resistance, doesn't even kick in until like the 1415 range. And I think people are going to see that. I'm not in any options plays right now for SoFi at all. Jesse Buffett. I'm hoping to do better than Buffett. Buffett, you got to realize most of Buffett's wealth came much later in his life, like his 60s. So I think I could do better than Buffett, especially with the environment we're in right now. The environment we're in right now is much more conducive to gaining wealth than what Buffett experienced. I mean, in dangerous ways, right? Maybe inflationary ways. Maybe it doesn't mean as much, even though I get a much higher percentage than Buffett over time. But I do think I'll beat him. All right, Oak, your audience will definitely grow, brother. Great information every day and good personality and values to go with it. I try, brother. I try. Darren, thumbs up. Thank you, my friend. Freedom Fighter 1600 live on X right now. That's awesome. CC Capital on X says, thanks for doing your morning streams on X. Because Bear Kevin has been such a drag. Yeah, I know. If you want somebody who's optimistic and also a realist, I'm gonna probably be better for that. And I won't switch. I'm not super emotional. I won't switch on a dime on you. Sergeant Brazil would love to hear why BITF over Cypher now. Yeah, I can do that. Give me a sec here. Stefan, wait is my message not showing because I said the F word. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, they might block explicitly. They might block stuff on there. That's possible. Benedict, I think I can turn that off. I'll do that. If that's a setting I can control, Stefan, I'll turn it off. Benedict Herweg, good morning from London, buddy. Hey, what's up, man? I hope things are going good in London. Sealess, Jesse, when was the route? 2022-ish? Yeah, something like that. You could see it. Honestly, I mean, you could see it right here, right? It's in every stock. You see how we triple topped over here and then just fucking plummeted. It was right over here. So it was like in November, and I think Bitcoin is probably the better representation of when the market started to fall apart. So if we jump over here on Bitcoin and we dial this out further, you can see that last market cycle, it's right around here. It's the latter part of November where the Fed started raising rates, and it just crushed everything. Everything. You can see it across every chart. Let's look at Tesla. How's Tesla doing this morning? I think we were up a half point. Almost up 1% today on Tesla, guys. Again, I think this one's getting ready to knock on some doors too. I don't think people are ready for it, and that is what I love. So I think Tesla's getting ready to break up. We're getting ready to hit peak volumes here on a lot of months, going back over a year. We're looking, well, I guess peak volume is down here when we zoom out a little bit further, but going back about 6 months, we're looking at peak volumes getting hit, and it's the first fib line, and we have the downward trend that's 3 years old practically, so that we're looking to actually break above and stay above. So there's so much good stuff happening right now. The bond rout you spoke of, I mean, it's the same thing, man. Stocks and bonds plummeted at the same time, which is wild for the markets, right? Because normally what would happen in market conditions is people would flee to bonds as a form of safety, but people didn't feel like bonds were safe either because of our high debt loads. So we had a rout in the bond market and the stock market at the same time, which is really sad because people that were in bonds that are old and that were getting ready to retire just got fucked. That's the sad part. They were told, hey guys, make sure you do this, portfolio where you have a decent amount of bonds for stability in case the stock market rolls over. And then none of it worked that way because our government can't control their spending, just like the rest of the governments of the world, because they're all shit when it comes to that. That's why we need to keep them small. Keep government small so they can't fuck us. That is the moral of the story. Tim Wolf, better than Buffett? Lol, what? Yeah, it's true, man. I'm going to be better than Buffett. You heard it first. I'm going to be better than Michael Jordan at hoops. I don't think so, Tim. Sika, good morning. Thanks for all you do. Tikel92, hey, what up, Jesse? Kosh, SPY, all-time high incoming. It is, dude. It looks so beautiful right now. Again, when we're looking at the SPY, the NASDAQ, or the Russell, all of them are in breakout patterns. And the best part is the SPY is getting ready to break above the .618, the golden retracement zone. So once you get above that, you're kind of on your second leg, and that's what you want to be doing. Sergeant Brazil, the reason I'm banging on about Cypher and Bitfarms is I got a friend to buy Cypher a few months ago. Appreciate all you do. Yeah, let's get back to that. Let's do it right now. Derek and Megan, interest rates were on the floor too. Tikel92, Cypher for the win. Cypher's okay, but I don't know if it's for the win, bro. Let's go back here and see if I can. Do I have this pulled up? I don't know if I do. Let me find it. I'll go to the Patreon if nothing else. I don't know if I do. Let's go to Sebastian Ski's Patreon because my stuff isn't built out yet, and his is wonderful. If you guys don't contribute to Sebastian Ski, I highly recommend you do. Let me just jump over here. Downloaded this thing like 14 times. All right, and I could look at some of this in my other screen, but we'll just do it here. His work is great. If you guys don't subscribe to him, I would if you own Bitcoin miners. So real quickly, we'll go through this. Again, we do have more data coming out in 25 minutes, guys. So don't forget that. Now, if we look at Bitfarms, so there's a couple things here. Bitfarms, 1,100 Bitcoin hodl stack. That's pretty good. Hash difference, you can see that these guys are trying to grow to 20 exahash. If we look at Cypher, let's just go to Cypher. Cypher is looking to grow to 13. So first off, we have Bitfarms being more aggressive in their expansion. That's a good sign. Revenues on Cypher for the last quarter, for the last month in August, were $8 million in revenue. If we look over here at Bitfarms, we're looking at $14 million in revenue, a better number. BTC per exahash for Bitfarms is 20.6 Bitcoin per exahash. Cypher is 16.6. You can't quite see it well here because the one looks a little faded. So they're getting less Bitcoin per exahash, and Bitfarms is getting more. There's a number of things that are like that, right? As far as expansion, and you can see the revenue growth for Bitfarms is looking good. You can see their hodl stack still growing a lot. The hodl stack for Cypher hasn't really grown, and they're selling off more of their stack each month that goes by. I don't love that. Whereas Bitfarms is selling off the stack, but they're not doing it at an ever-increasing pace, or at least a much slower pace. The debt, or the assets to debt, total current assets, 237 million, versus debt total current liabilities of 46 million for Bitfarms. If we go over to Cypher here and look at that same number, if I could scroll, I really need to fix my scroll. What the fuck? It drives me nuts. Again, this one maybe a win for Cypher, 309 million on assets, and then total current liabilities 36. But when you look at other things like net income, other aspects, I think Bitfarms has the edge. I like the fact that they're growing more. I like the fact that their market cap is also smaller. If you look, they're at $898 million, probably over $1 billion today. But we have a slightly larger cap on Cypher. So I own both. I've got a larger amount in Bitfarms right now, and I think it's going to end up doing better. And that's just a few points right off the top of my head. There's more. Hopefully that helps though. We'll do more. I don't want to focus too much on that right now, but we'll do more of that. We'll do more of that come, the weekend on Sunday at 6:00 when we talk about the comparison between Bitcoin miners. And then I'll talk more about IREN too and why I started a position in that. C-list, the Biden economic incident, not the rout. Okay, if you want to call it that, C-list. John Frank, at this point, would you buy CleanSpark stock or calls? I think the calls are good. I own a lot of them. If you look here, I've got a pretty big number. It's down 20%, but I got on just my main account, I got $175,000. Here, it all depends on how safe you're trying to be. I could have this wiped out. These are July 2025. If we don't hit that, go over that 37 strike, hopefully earlier, which I think we're very capable of doing. If you look at CleanSpark, guys, you got to remember stuff here. You got to remember how quickly these miners move. Up 2.54 in after hours. This thing was already at 24. So if you think there's a possibility between now and the end of the year that Bitcoin can go to 92, which I think is very possible, or the beginning of the year, that's a higher high than we've been at before. And so the chance that we creep up to at least the $33 range by then and lock in shit tons of extrinsic value on those CleanSpark calls, more than doubling the underlying asset, maybe getting at least 2x from it or more, I think is really high. I know it sounds crazy to say that CleanSpark could go up 250% between now and the beginning of the year, but I believe that's what's going to happen. Akash, CleanSpark momentum dead. Yeah, it's dead, but until it's not, man. This is my third cycle on Bitcoin miners, guys. And I can tell you, this is perfectly fucking normal. This is normal stuff. SK says, Sebastian Ski sounds like he's worried on IREN on his YouTube video yesterday. He thinks large companies will build their own. I do agree with that. Again, I put about $10,000 into IREN. I do think large companies will also compete against these smaller ones. I think even maybe Nvidia could do that as their own business model. They could build it out and then have their own too. So there's concerns there. There's a reason I don't have a ton of money in it. The bulk of my money, and again, I guess I'll just go over to here. This is probably better. I don't know why. This is so dumb. There we go. All right. Let me go back to my profile. I hate how the bar is disappearing. I need to figure that out. So if we just scroll down here and look at my portfolio allocation, there is a reason why CleanSpark is number one for my positioning. Then I got my shit coins. Then I got Mara. Then I got MicroStrategy. Then I've got Bitfarms. Then I've got Cypher. I've got some ETH and some other stuff in there too. So I'm not going balls deep on IREN right now. I only put 10K into it. It's like 0.3 something % of my portfolio. It's a stupid low number. So yeah, definitely more research is needed, but they're also a pretty well-run company. And I think at least I wish they had a Bitcoin stack. I wish IREN had a Bitcoin stack. I would like them a lot better if they did. But I do think there's opportunity there, and I did want some exposure to HPC, and so that's why I'm checking it out. But I wouldn't put everything into it. I think Sebastian Ski has larger amounts in his than I do. Let's look at else here. Dylan Van Dyke on X says, on CleanSpark, what is your ratio of shares versus, it's a stupid amount on options. And I'm going to be updating this. Nope, not here. I'm going to be updating this portfolio. I'll have a separate image that will show my allocation to shitcoins. And again, that's not a big part of my portfolio. It's less than 10%. And then I'll also in here update this to show calls versus, or stock versus options. So I'll have that in here as a category too, so that you know. But right now for CleanSpark, it's 100% options. It's 100%. But that said, Bitfarms, all stock. Mara, all stock. So I was strategic about it. I went after the one that gave me the best possibility of a multiplier while it was down quite a bit. So I try to be smart about it. Playing around with MSTX at all? I am not, but I don't think it's a bad play, guys. Let's look at MSTX real quick. And if you guys have other stocks you want to pull up, we've got about 15 minutes until we get our next economic data, 15 to 20. So if you guys want to look at some of that, let me know. MSTX, guys, is just a multiplier. It's a 1.75x. So you do have theta decay. It's a 1.75x move for MicroStrategy. And I think MicroStrategy is stupid cheap right now. Let me just clean this up. This MSTX multiplier hasn't been around for long. You can see how it had a lot of crush from 22 down here just recently. Again, this thing's going to move more with greater volatility than MicroStrategy. But when you compare it to where it was at 26 when it was hitting its peak all the way down to 15, you can see how people rode this up and did really, really well. And they're going to do even better. Just remember, though, if you're getting into something like this, there's rebalancing that occurs every day. And when that rebalancing occurs, it incorporates theta decay. So these things aren't necessarily meant to be vehicles that are held for long periods of time. So if you're jumping into something like this, usually day trades, or when you think that there's going to be wicked market momentum and you're getting ready to make a lot of money. And again, I don't like day trading. I like rebalancing, and I'm a swing trader. It's a different thing. But if you look at MicroStrategy, what are the odds that this thing breaks out higher in the next like couple of months, and you can get maybe a 1.5x because of some of that theta decay in there too, using MSTX? I think they're pretty high. And if you get to that level, just even that first tranche here at 290, that's a 100% increase. So maybe a 150% move that you could hit with MSTX. So I think it's an all right play, man. I don't hate it. And again, you got to remember, MicroStrategy moved like a baller from top to bottom. So just at the lows of MicroStrategy at the end of 2022, in a little over a year and a half, about a year and 3/4 right now, this thing went up 1,400%. So people that were invested in MicroStrategy made a shit ton of money. I think of it as a synthetic miner, and a good one. All right, let's get caught up. Dylan, thanks for answering my questions. You're welcome, sir. Concord, the amount of ETH going to Sol these days is crazy. Artemis has a good chart for it. It's a huge amount. And Invest Answers talks about it all the time too. Artemis is great as well. Again, I don't really own much ETH at all. Over 50% of my shitcoins are Solana. And there's a reason for that. Even though I do think ETH will eventually come around, I think the layer 2s are kind of sucking some of the life out of it. And if we look at the inflation on ETH, guys, let me just see if I can find that. Do I have that in here? Yeah, right here. So look, this is what sucks about ETH. I was very pro ETH after the merge in the burn. And it was like, okay, since you can see this since the burn too. And so this is going back 3 years, 40, or 3 years, 43 days. You could see how the inflation rate with ETH was just astronomical and stupid. And I was really happy to have it going down after the merge and the burn. And that was looking great. But as of about March of this year, we've started inflating again. It's not a crazy amount. It's like 0.6%, but it's not that much more special than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's inflation rate is like right around 1%. So again, this is one of those things where I don't know. I think Ethereum isn't getting a lot of love. Vitalik's got a girlfriend now, and Solana is better in like every way. Cost, speed, complexity. It's simpler. And then amount of adoption on it, growth within the ecosystem, like everything you can look at with Solana looks better than ETH. So I agree. I don't think ETH is something super special, and I hate the fact that it's starting to inflate. Look at this, the 1 hour time frame. Look at this, the 1 day time frame, 0.6%. It's just like it's not as appealing as it was. Over the last 30 days, the inflation rate is 0.7, getting a lot closer. Look at this whip around here, guys. At the 2 year mark is really where you see the whip. Look at this up. It's not pretty. I don't love that at all. It's not exciting to me. Like the live, fellas. Yes, if you could. Clarence also says NVIDIA. NVIDIA's doing good, guys. NVIDIA, let's see what we're up. 1.3% on the day. Tesla's up 1%. Again, I think Tesla's ready to rock. We got 10/10 coming. We only have 3 weeks until that. We got rates dropping. That should be a positive factor for it too. NVIDIA up 1.3% now. Yeah, looking good. There's a lot of good charts, guys. A lot of good charts. Let me see what else we have here for comments. Congratulations, Jesse. You received 100 messages today with Restream. Thanks, Restream. All right, let me see here. What else we got? So Sila says your shitcoins are mostly Sol and Render, right? Maybe some ETH. I'll create a chart, a pie chart that has them so that you guys know. And I this afternoon, if nothing else, if I don't have that created, I'll pull up. Coinbase is where I've got the bulk of them. I'll show it to you. Jesse, so don't hold any leveraged ETFs long term. Yeah, well, not for long periods of time. You can hold TMF. If you think that the market's going to skyrocket over the next month, you could hold TMF. You won't get 1.75x though. Or I should say this. I was talking about MicroStrategy, sorry. TMF is a 3x multiple. So you said don't hold it for the long term. You can if you think over the next like 2-3 months it's going to be a good vehicle and that it's going to go up. You just won't make the full 3x. Maybe you make an extra doubling and less than doubling or something of it. So you get like, where you would get 100% gains from TLT, maybe you get 190%, or maybe you get 220%, but you don't get the 300% of the 3x because there's theta decay. There's decay over time. Options are complicated, but just think of these leveraged funds like options. And so like when people talk about taking an option out for something like TMF, I'm like, you're fucking insane, because you're taking an option out on an option. And so it's just like, there's so much decay in that, you're never going to get paid. So I hope that makes sense. Sela said, must the girlfriend be lured away by paid Chad? That's, yeah. Yeah. Vitalik is losing. Cooper said, MicroStrategy is my BTC proxy, just so I can wheel it for income without the issue of NAV erosion from Beto and Bitix. Yeah, MicroStrategy is great. And again, if you do MSTX, then you'll have potentially some erosion. The net asset value, though, for MicroStrategy can run really high. It can be more than 2x its underlying Bitcoin holdings. So it moves with some volatility too. But people trust it, and it's like the main vehicle for getting that Bitcoin access that you're talking about. It's like the main one for a multiplier. So I think that's a great play, Cooper. All right, Freedom Fighter, new data is in now. New data is in now? Economic data? I mean, we already did some, in case you missed it, bro. So we already looked at, I guess Redbook. Redbook was out. So that's 4.6. This is a sampling of retail. What is it, like 7,000 retailers or something? So this took a dump, but it's not a horrible number at all. Or I'm sorry, 9,000 stores. So the Johnson Redbook Index is a sales weighted of year-over-year same-store sales growth in a sample of large U.S. general merchandise retailers representing about 9,000 stores. Same-store sales are sales in stores continuously open for 12 months or longer. So yeah, it's the index represents over 80% of the equivalent official retail sales series collected and published by the U.S. Department of Commerce. So it's a big sampling of retail sales data, but it also had a really wicked last read of 6.5%. So this little bit of a rollover is nothing. We still got a trend where from July of 2023, retail is expanding, and that's not exactly bear market shit. So you're right, that data point came out, not really a big one. The big stuff is the industrial production, manufacturing production, and capacity utilization. And then later at 9, business inventories. That's going to be the fun stuff, guys. And I'll probably do I'll stick around on business inventories, and then I'll probably bail. I got to go get a walk, hang out with family, get some exercise, and then work on my Discord channel before the market recap. So, hey, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Again, hit the likes if you haven't, guys. 237 people here. Really appreciate you all coming. John Frank says, do you think IBIT will offer options soon? Maybe. Possible. I don't know the date on it, though, if they are. And I can look into it. Celis, Cooper, what else would MicroStrategy be? Do you know anything about their business software? They've got actually a decent business where they where they're profitable. We can actually look at some of that real quickly here. And Visual Stocks, if I can find it. Where are you, Mr. Visual Stocks? Oh, there we go. But their other business, I mean, they're profitable. They use any money that they make to buy Bitcoin because they're a Bitcoin company. Revenue growth, though, isn't great. So again, even product licenses revenue has been dropping, but subscription services going up, product support going down a little bit. Revenue pretty flat. But for the most part, like they have, well, I can't say they're always profitable. It looks like they have plenty of quarters where they're not. A lot of that, though, you can't really, no, it's not accurate, though. So this net income that's showing losses, a lot of this was because they had to do markdowns on their Bitcoin before the FASB accounting rules changed. So it makes it look like they're not as profitable as they are. More recently here, they haven't been doing as well as far as profitability. But some of that, again, could be debt issuance. If you look at this from a debt issuance standpoint, guys, it looks like a company that's going to go bankrupt. But what you don't realize is they've made so much money off their Bitcoin. And then when they took out this debt, they were doing it at like, in some cases, 0.25% interest on 5-year loans. So, and then they bought Bitcoin with it, and they've made shit tons of money. So they'll consolidate this debt over time and sell it out. And they'll probably get rid of a ton of it near the top of the cycle. So yeah, you'll see that change as their assets will continue to go a lot higher, and their debt will go down astronomically. And if you look here too, another important thing to note is all we're seeing in here is cash and bonds. I actually need to see if Alejandro can put Bitcoin in here. It's a weird one. Add Bitcoin to MSTR for cash and debt. I don't know how easily he can do this because it's a one-off for this company, but I mean, other companies are starting to do it too. So I think it would be a good thing to do. So I'll ask him about that. But yeah, so their business is pretty much steady as it goes, and any money that they make off of the business, they throw into buying Bitcoin. But it's a decent business, and I think, really it's a Bitcoin business, and that's why we need to have Bitcoin's number in here because that's how people invest with it. JP from X says, looking forward to joining the Cord when it's live. Awesome, dude. That'll be great. Again, hopefully, maybe I get around to it today. I got to start adding channels. We're going to be keeping track of companies and cryptos and things that we're interested in and doing analysis on, and then we're going to have people, dump things in the channels for the sub channels, in order because it helps me. It helps facilitate my own research when we're working as a collective and as a team. And we'll share all that stuff in real time too. And when news events come up, you'll know what's going on quicker than just X, because we'll all be on it and working together. So it's going to be cool, man. I'm really excited. Heinz in. I also played leveraged ETFs by DCAing in for the decay. Cool. Okay. Silas, yeah, I looked into MicroStrategy software is okay, but a tiny share of their market cap. Yeah, it's really inconsequential. It's inconsequential. It's all about Bitcoin now. That's the company model. MicroStrategy should start buying deep caves and offering cold storage. There you go. I think a lot of theirs is done through Coinbase, but it would be smart to have, it would be smart to kind of do some of that on their own. The forward PE on this looks stupid. Look at this, 909, probably one of the richest in the industry for a company that as large as MicroStrategy is. Just insane, guys, insane. All right, so let's look economic data. Let me look actually commodities real quick and see how we're doing. Again, they're screaming a little bit higher, not nuts, but actually, here's the thing: like energy, I think there's still a play right now where energy is worried about Trump coming on, because Trump was talking about lowering energy prices by over 50% in his first year by just producing massive amounts, giving government incentives to produce massive amounts. So I think we're still seeing that play. Polling data, I'll be doing some more polling data here too, probably this afternoon, guys. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see timing wise, but I'm going to try and do polling and political related data. But the polls actually look really good for Trump. The real data, and I go into deep dives on that too. Steel down today. HRC steel down. This stuff, guys. This is fascinating because if you look here, China's fall from grace is represented in HRC steel prices. You can see where they're just coming down hard. This is the like high density stuff that they use in skyscrapers, and they're just not building them anymore. And China, I don't know, for people who didn't see this yesterday, this is damning data out of God, I hate how that works. Why are you not showing my bookmarks? There we go. So just for people who didn't see this yesterday, you got to see this. And I've got more data. I'm not going to talk about it right now for China. But this right here, just look at this. This is companies founded in China, updated as of August 2024, year to date. So this is this year. So look at how China used to be and look at their peak in 2018-19. Just absolutely exploding. And then look at the cliff they've fallen off for companies founded. People are not building new companies. China's economy is in massive contraction. This is just one representation of that. I don't think enough people are paying attention to this right here. And Michael, when he says over in this comment, "Is that bad?" is joking. He knows that's bad. It's really bad. All right, let's see what else we got for comments. Let me hop over here to the economic data, because again, we're waiting on all that industrial data right now. It's coming out in 4 minutes, guys. Real close. Bitcoin Man over on YouTube. TMF and BTC and MicroStrategy is all I'm stacking right now, big time. Yeah, TMF is okay. Again, I think that's going to be better in the future. I'm not really into that right now, but I do think MicroStrategy is a good play. Stacking Bitcoin is always good, but I like the multipliers at this stage. I like to use multipliers on the way up, then get out of them as we start to get near my targets as far as what I believe the high to be. And with Bitcoin, people know I'm going to start getting out massively. I'll be out massively from my miners and from my shit coins when we get to 150K, but I think we could go to 280. And then there's some numbers showing that we could get to 400. I mean, if we're going to get to 400, this is the cycle for it, guys, because of ever-expanding global liquidity and just runaway debt all around the world. Silas, has anybody here been on the decommissioned Congressional Nuclear Bunker tour under the Greenbrier? This is very specific. Historic Hotel in Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. It has a CSX data center. No, I haven't. Sounds cool though. Sounds like probably the coolest thing in West Virginia, outside of the mountains. West Virginia. I lived there for like 2 weeks. Wasn't super excited about it. Forget the name of the town that we stayed in. My parents were religious and we were going there for church. Like we were moving there because of something, some people we knew from the church, whatever. The church that we were going to, should I say this? Fuck it. The retardation rate at this church was astronomically high. I would have to say it was like 6 or 7% of the population because there were so many blue bloods in the room. So not my favorite thing. Like West Virginia, I don't know if the whole state's that way, but I do know in the place we were going to move, the high school had been consolidated into the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school, and they were only taking up half of it. And when my dad found out that it might be hard for him to even get a job at McDonald's, we were like, why are we here? And we moved. I was raised poor for the most part. We had some good times, but there was some poverty in there too. And that was one of those moves where it was like, I don't know, man. So my views on West Virginia, not super positive. All right, guys, we got a minute and a half. But again, maybe the rest of the state's better. If that's where you're from, Silas. Yeah, the tour sounds great. But if I shit on your state, guys, I'm sorry. It's just this was years ago when I was a kid. Maybe it's better now. But for the most part, it was dying coal country. It was really devastated. And now I imagine there's probably so much drug use from the opioid crisis. A lot of that area where you had like massive coal, they just started making it to where they were just giving people small amounts to make up for the destruction in their economies. And then the drug companies were pushing opioids on them. It was just it was a big problem. Blue bloods as in moneyed class? No, as in having sex with your cousin. No, much worse. No, like where I was in mountain country, dude. These guys, yeah, it was something. All right, let's see what's going on. It was scary. The pastor that we were staying with was talking about shooting a pastor from another church. That's the region I was in. So shallow into the gene pool. Yes, exactly. I don't think it was the best representation of the state, or at least I hope not. Jeff L. Jesse, how are you thinking on exiting miners and MicroStrategy when BTC hits? Getting the fuck out. Getting the fuck out. Anything with the biggest multiplier is out. So like options, well out before that. And then ones that have run the most, I would be out of. Ones that might be laggards and could still go further, I'll probably keep them. But it's just one of those things where I like to be safe. I like to lock in all those gains. I don't try and get the last 100% when I've made 900% or more. So I try to be prudent with stuff like that. It's still refreshing. It should be out. What's going on? Industrial production capacity utilization and manufacturing? It looks like it's just taking a while to grind here. We'll wait on that. John Frank says, how can I learn more about BITO? It's a Bitcoin CME futures play. For out calls, look very cheap. CME futures play. I don't know. I can look into it. Oh, here we go. Industrial production 0.8% versus 0.2 consensus and forecast. Wow. Capacity utilization up at 78% when they thought it was 77.9. We'd like to see more people working. Industrial production year over year, we're waiting on that. Manufacturing production month over month, 0.9% versus 0.3 and 0.2. This is go time, guys. This is good. These are all good news. And then it looks like the year over year numbers, industrial production is flat, whereas it needed to be 0.3. So year over year doesn't look as good for industrial production, but manufacturing production year over year, 0.3, or it came in at 0.2 versus 0.3 expected. So those numbers for industrial and manufacturing look a little weaker, but capacity utilization looks great, and the month over month numbers look really good. So I think this is going to be a decent thing. We'll see how the CME updates for the Fed Watch tool Again, 2-to-1 odds of getting a 50 bip cut. Those look like they changed just a little bit. The 50 bip just went down a hair, probably from some of this positive data. We could see more of that happen ahead. But this, to me, this is positive data. Let's actually dive into the data so we get the real view, right? Capacity utilization. I always like, when in doubt, zoom out, right? That's the thing to do. So capacity utilization, again, it's all right. These numbers are good, way better than what happened in the pandemic, way better than what happened in 2008, great financial crisis. If anything, we're kind of grinded sideways here and look like we're getting ready to pop higher. We're not in that irrational exuberance phase of 2008 before we rolled over. We are in a bounce back zone and trying to establish a base. But again, like even 2018 before the pandemic, guys, September, October of 2018, we'd already peaked on capacity utilization and we're rolling over before the pandemic happened. So we'd like to see this number continue to stay where it is and potentially go up. But let's look industrial production year over year. Let's go back to that. And so again, we're in positive territory. It looks like, guys, we're in a bottoming pattern. If we look at the 5 years, probably a better one. We're kind of riding along the zero line here, but again, this should get juiced with lower rates. Manufacturing production. Manufacturing production actually doesn't look horrible. These numbers have not been great for a while, really since the 2008 financial crisis where manufacturing just plummeted and all of it went overseas. The numbers were just grinding down to sideways before the pandemic. So the fact that we're even maintaining where we are is pretty decent. And again, if Trump gets into office, he's creating tons of exemptions and exceptions to try and increase manufacturing in the United States. So we'll see more of that. We don't have business inventories out yet, month over month. Those we're still waiting on that. That comes at 9. So again, I will stick around till that. Let's look though. Let's look at how we're doing in pre-market. We still got 12 minutes till the market open. Again, the data all looks good. NVIDIA 1.41%. Let's look at, can I do last hour? I can't really, so we'll be stuck with this view. But I don't see anything getting crushed by what we just saw. Let me see here. Jeff L., John Frank. How can I learn more? Oh, we already did that one. Jess, C-List. We often joke about inbreeding in the USA, but it has the lowest rate. Oh, no, totally. I agree. It's just that part of West Virginia did not. It did not. When the whole back row at the church is people with Down syndrome, you know the inbreeding is a little more special. And again, I was in the backwoods, dude. So like this was like everybody on that hill or side of the mountain was all related to each other, and I think they should leave their mountain more. They should definitely leave their mountain. They should go see. The problem is they feud too. It was weird. And again, this is over. When I reference my time there in West Virginia, this is over 25 almost years ago. So keep that in perspective too. Actually, yeah, almost 30. Though Canada is letting some immigrants marry first cousins when they say it's part of their culture. Pakistani especially. UK does this too. Yeah, I mean, Europe is definitely the original OGs when it comes to that, right? The tool is heavy. Main stage news, do you think we'll see any continuation of the yen carry trade unwind? No, I don't. I've said this before. If you're new here, that is not a concern right now. They opened up channels between the United States and Japan and probably are offering other things too between the Treasury Department and the Fed as guarantees to where they provide liquidity so that they don't have to worry about that unwinding anytime soon. Do I worry about that eventually happening? Yes, but I don't worry about that for at least a year and a half. At the worst case. I mean, it depends if Kamala gets appointed and she really drags down the economy. But like I've said before, guys, I'm not pro Kamala in any way. I don't like censorship. I don't like bigger government. I don't like restrictive government. I like to see expansion. I like to see open markets, free market capitalism, and freedom of speech. But if she gets into power, the odds right now of her being able to control the Senate are stupid low. Again, I don't go into the political stuff as much in this show, but if we look here just at Senate control after the election, the poly market has the chances at 77% of Republicans regaining control. And when you look at the state level across all of them, it looks like there's a huge chance for Republicans to be able to take back the Senate. So if that happens, then Kamala Harris is neutered and can't really do much of anything. And that's what we want right now. We want her to have little control to be able to do all the taxation. If she did the corporate tax increase, if she doesn't renew Trump's tax cuts from his presidency, that's in danger. But if she does the unrealized gains, especially, we're just all fucked. We're all fucked. The stock market will collapse, especially the unrealized gains. It'll collapse. We'll be in a depression. So I will be, again, building up. The problem is bonds might not be a safety mechanism, so it might need to be more cash, because who's going to trust our debt if we head down that route? We'll fuck our entire economy. So definitely food for thought on how to hedge in the future. That will be a huge focus. And so we'll have on the channel in the Discord, we'll have a hedging section, strategy section too, and then companies where we believe they have high potential for a bounce and taking off, like heavily undervalued companies that could take off in the future. So we'll have those kind of things in a channel as well. Sela said they could also leave the Mountain Dew alone, not just their mountain. Yeah, both would be good. Agreed. All right. Anybody on X got any questions at all, too? U.S. bonds just have been paying, so sell, so they still sell. U.S. bonds right now, I mean, again, people are, so to be clear, if we look at the 2-year, people are buying them. They're buying them and locking in rates, and they're doing this in TL2, right? So for people who do not know how bonds work, this right here is showing the yield on the bond, how much it gives you in a return. When people buy a lot of bonds, the yield goes down because of the demand, right? So this is an indication that people are buying bonds and that they're soaking them up. They're locking in 2 years because they're like, hey, I'm worried about the stock market over the next 2 years. Instead of just being in this money market fund, if rates come down really quickly, this thing isn't going to pay out anymore. So let's lock in this rate at 3.6% on the 2-year. And then I could sell these too, but at the same time, I can get a locked in yield on my investment, and then I can always get out of this later on and buy stock. And so bonds are a little bit different. People don't always know how they work. And then treasuries are shorter dated, like paper bills, T-bills. Those are different too. Those are just really short time you can have like 3 months and shit like that. Serenity Chin says the unrealized capital gains is just a tactic to attract poor people votes, not actually. Dude, I wouldn't. Anybody, if you can go back and listen to Kamala Harris over the last 15 years, I don't think it's a strategy. You also have to realize, so I don't think she can do it, but I don't think it's a strategy. I think she really wants to do it. Her dad is a Marxist economist who taught at Stanford for decades. And so they very much believe in communism. She was raised in the thought process of communism is good, and communism doesn't believe in people investing in stocks. That's not a communistic trait. So I don't think that's true. I actually think that's something she wants to do. I don't think she can. Santa Stocks. Hey Jesse, thanks for everything you do. Do you still go to church? I don't. I'm not religious. I was raised Southern Baptist. I'm not religious though. I do like. Out of all of the things, all of the religions around the world, I do like Christianity, though. I think it's got a strong moral, ethical code, and I think that people need to have morals and ethics. Manny247, good afternoon, Jesse. My Muslim friends are totally against marrying cousins, not only because of the health problem. Yeah, I would hope. I across any religion, man, I hope you don't marry your cousins. Mostly the family split caused by divorce is not worth the hassle. Yeah, that makes sense, too. So you don't want genetic issues, and you don't want to deal. It's like working with your family. Not always a good idea, right? Sometimes it works out, but a lot of the times it doesn't, and then it creates bitterness. Silas, I considered 10-year bonds for the first time circa May this year, but I decided BTC was better, way better. Now, bonds, again, especially if Trump gets in office, if we're actually looking to pay down debts, if we're looking to pay down, or not pay down debts, we're going to expand no matter who gets in office, guys. I don't care what your political leaning is. We're going to expand spending, especially initially. But at least with Trump's party, when you've got Elon Musk there, the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, when you have him in there and he's somebody who wiped out 80% of the staff at X and then was able to still grow the product and make it what's going to be, I think, one of the best social media sites on the planet over the next several years with 22% growth rates year over year and expanding. I think that party is going to do better as far as assuring people that we're still the cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry when it comes to debt issuance. And so I think our bond markets will be attractive, but I don't I don't know that under Harris. But again, if all she can do is pass executive orders and she doesn't have control of the Senate, the harm that she can create is a lot less. She can fuck us on the illegal immigration. She could open the flows again. But outside of that, I don't see her being able to do all the harm that she would like to do. Jeff L says Tim Walz owns zero investments. He's proud of that, actually. He also, in a very short period of time, wiped out and created a deficit in Minnesota. So, which is a state not too far from me and one I know quite well. He's been horrible for the economy there. Again, they're both, you got to realize Tim Walz actually idolizes China. He had his, I think, most recent honeymoon in Tiananmen Square. He taught over in China. He loves the concept of Marxist economics too, just like Kamala Harris's own father. These people are very communistic. They believe in censorship of free speech. They believe in sharing the wealth across everything, and those policies do not work historically, guys. We can go back and review hundreds of civilizations over the last 1,000 years and see how well that's turned out. It doesn't work. You take away the incentive for people to outperform, and you create bitterness between the populace, and so everybody just fucking sits around and does nothing, or all the smart people and large money leaves the country. They don't want to be taxed to shit. These policies are idiotic. But I don't think she'll have the power to do any of it. Silas, if the stock market dumps due to politics, the government will still need to bear the cost of caring for many more elderly in many more ways. Yeah, that problem is all over the world. The aging population, the demographic cliff in China is even worse than here. It makes ours look like nothing because they had the one-child policy. So there's a lot of aging economies. Italy is a great representation. Japan is a great representation of the population collapse that's happening around the world, and that's incredibly destructive to economies. Because when the population collapses, you don't have the same amount of GDP output that you had before. And so it's a downward spiral like people don't understand. JP from X says, do you foresee Trump adopting the micro strategy with the U.S. government? No, but he's already told us. Not initially, but we know Cynthia Loomis wants that. We know Dennis wants that. The guy who runs around and talks to senators and governments all across the nation is trying to get people to understand the power of Bitcoin. But we do know that Donald Trump has said that he'll create a crypto and Bitcoin council, and we know that he said that he would create a strategic stockpile where whenever the government confiscates Bitcoin and crypto for other reasons, that would be the Bitcoin stockpile. So at least he embraces the industry and cares about it, unlike the Democratic Party, which has tried to kill it via the SEC and people like Elizabeth Warren. And again, I listen to these congressional people all the time, and they're fucking horrible. They want to kill Bitcoin, and they're still trying to, even right now. The whole the choke point 2.0 thing hasn't ended. The SEC is still trying to crush the crypto markets and Bitcoin, and they don't want it to have accessibility to banking, and that's why the CFTC hasn't been able to do that yet. So there's a lot of ugliness right now, guys, and from the Democratic Party side in regard to freedom of money and freedom of everything. Dreza says from X, thanks for the insight, logic, and clear thinking. I try to do it, man. Hopefully that's always accomplished. Not all the time, I'm sure, but Silas, if the world thinks Harris is spending the U.S.'s dominance in financial markets, they'll increasingly abandon the bonds. That's my whole point. The bond market, I don't think, will be safe if for some reason she does get power over the markets. It looks like the bell just rang, guys. Let's go back over here. We're going to go ahead and clean this up. We're going to get out of pre-market because I have the ability to do that. And instead, we're going to look at the daily now. And then we're going to refresh, and we should see, hopefully, this might take a sec. Nope, it's pretty quick. Again, I pay extra for this. I actually am lucky enough. TradingView is a great company. They give me the product for free, or at least have been. They do a promotional thing once a year. I promote that on YouTube and on X, and when I do that, they give the product to me for free. I do pay for some additional services, but maybe I'll get lucky enough where they'll do those too. But I try to get real time on everything, so I'm able to show you things that other people maybe aren't right away because they get delays. But it looks like the market is having a nice little takeoff, and this might also be fractionally delayed, but Tesla, wow, 1.2%. Let's dial through some of my favorites, guys. Let's look at how the market's doing. So Bitcoin, it looks at 59,310. So again, it's doing even better than it was doing earlier. Love to see it. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla is up 2%. Holy shit. Gonna be the money maker today, guys. It's gonna be a lot of stocks making money. Again, like I said, just a matter of time before we get next to this next fib level. It looks like we're trying to hit it. We could be in breakout territory by tomorrow if people get really stoked about what's happening with the Fed. And like I said, I'm looking to break up, at least get to the 246 range where we close the daily gap over here. I doubt we'll, in short order, get to the 290s, but it could happen. I think actually what's more likely is we get up to about 256 maybe or something, where we have kind of this volume peak on a local time frame going about a year. And then maybe we reject, we establish support on this downward trend line that's been going back for almost 3 years, and then we launch. That's kind of my thought process. Doesn't have to work that way though. Markets move really quick, guys. Let's look at how's everything else doing. How's PayPal? Should look at Palantir, SoFi, all these guys. PayPal up 1%. Again, not quite to the level. We want to see it get up to the 73, 74 range and get above it. Once we've done that, it's just a matter of time before we get to the 83 and then 97. I think those are all coming really quickly. We got a gap. Look at these gaps that are all over here, guys. We got a gap in the 86 range. We got a gap over at 108. We got a gap that brings us to 119. We got a huge gap that brings us to 150. Not that we have to get to that in the next year, but I think PayPal is just, people don't realize how much money can be made on PayPal. But that's exciting too. So up about 0.75, bouncing around. Let's look at Hood. Hood's going to be a screamer. 1.58% again today on Hood, getting closer and closer to that. Again, I've said I think we got another 50%, anywhere from 35 to 50% on Hood that we're going to be seeing in a very short period of time. And by short period of times, I mean in the next quarter or two. We'll be seeing a 50% increase in Hood. That's what I believe strongly. If we look at SoFi today up 0.68%, 8.12. We could grind above the .618, but what we want to establish in the days ahead are that we turn this into a support zone for the first time going back to February of 2024 over half a year ago. That's what we want to see right now on here, guys. Let's look at Square. We're just going to roll through all my favorite stocks. Up 2%, Square finally getting the bounce it deserves. Still down 76% from its all-time high, but starting to make some moves. Again, the next big launch here is just trying to get above this resistance line that went up back, a couple of years. And that's at the 79 range. So we'll see if that happens. Palantir, how's Palantir? I made a bold statement with Palantir yesterday that I think we're going to be topping at the all-time high or right around it, which is at 46 right about. I don't know. That probably pisses off a lot of people, but I do think it's true. We're at 72, 73 overbought on the monthly time frame for Palantir. So again, and even on the weekly, we're at the highest level of overboughtness on Palantir since July of 2023. So this thing, it can go higher, but we're pulling against resistance to the downside too. And I do believe that people are going to be looking for other opportunities, especially if we get to the all-time high. It's a $100 billion market cap, guys. It's been a great run. If we get to the all-time high and you're still greedy and expect it to go another 300% when you've made 700% from the bottom, I think you're going to be disappointed as we trend sideways to down. And so I'm going to take this out. Market could drive it higher. Markets can always drive it higher. But here's what I think is the likely scenario that we see. I think we see something like this, at least for the next year, where we have a trade range on Palantir that can start up here. And so I think we'll be trading down on this one. And again, I was the person a year and a half ago who was getting ready to make $500,000 or $600,000, roughly a 500-600% gain on Palantir before I bailed out and applied that capital elsewhere, where I made even more money on some of these. So I like to think ahead. I think that's what you have to do. Markets are forward-looking, usually about 6 months or something close. It varies on time frame. It's not a set number, but it's forward-looking, and it's important to look at it that way. ARKG up 0.65% too, so everything just looks like it's taking off today. Let's look here. Let's look at some of these small caps too. How's the Bitcoin market doing again? Let's look at MicroStrategy. And it's about 8:35 right now, so we've been open for about 5 minutes. And again, we got that more data coming in for business inventories at 9 o'clock or right around that. That's about the time I'll bail after we look at that. So MicroStrategy is up 1.42%, not bad. Mara is up 1.7%, not bad. CleanSpark is up 2%. Here's what I expect. I actually expect if we're seeing stability in the market, and maybe it doesn't happen today, maybe it waits for the FOMC tomorrow, Maybe 130 is really the time where we start to rock after the Fed starts to talk. But I think that if we see stability in Bitcoin and continued upside price action, you'll start to see miners outperforming. And when you see miners outperforming Bitcoin after they've had a huge rout, again, if we just look at CleanSpark, it is still down 61% from its recent high. Which is why I went into options in this one, because I get a doubling of a return and just to get back to the previous all-time high, which I think is very easy to do over the next month. It's 170% in gains. And again, if we get to 92,000, I would find it impossible for us not to go up 260% on CleanSpark, which is why I love it so much. Let me get back to chat. See what else we got here. Dustin P11 says Tim Waltz. Oh, we talked about that. Tim Waltz investments are the state taxpayers. Yeah, he just spends their money. We got to get those tampons in the boys' room, right? It's very important. A boy might need a tampon. Maybe they need to shove it up their ass or something. Sealess, yes, but the USA and Australia both have their elderly heavily invested in the stock market by design. Changing this would be devastating to social stability. Yes, right? It would be. It would be, especially when the U.S. makes up like 30% of the fucking global markets. It would be a pretty big deal for the entire world. It would be devastating and destructive. You don't even want to talk about doing that. It just makes you sound like a fucking idiot to tax unrealized capital gains. And frankly, if Trump's tax deductions don't pass, we're going to see compression in corporations all around the United States, pretty big ones. So if he doesn't get into power, it's going to get weird. It's going to get weird. Even if she doesn't get the Senate, it's going to get weird. Yeah, let's keep going here. Heinz says TSLA is working at the moment. Yeah, that's a multiplier of Tesla, so I could see that. Sealess, by contrast, France and other Western countries don't use the equities market for retirement funding. Yeah, but they're still going to get fucked. Because if we go down, they go down with us hard. They have nothing attractive. France, Germany's in major contraction. It's a mess. We should probably look at Intel, too, and Microsoft today. Dylan, 100% options on CleanSpark? Yes. Mad Hat, but not any of the other Bitcoin miners. Mad Hat on X. Typically, how far out do you go with options? I like to go... I've got an Options 101 video, guys. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. I've been told it's the best one out there. And I like to believe it. I've got almost 20,000 views on it. I cover extrinsic and intrinsic value. I think a lot of people don't understand that. I also show visual representations of what theta decay looks like over time. The further out you go, it buys you time where the theta decay doesn't come as quickly. And then, but if you go higher in a strike price too, then that you're going to see erosion of theta decay with that. And then shorter time frames. And then higher price targets will give you greater amounts of theta decay where it drops really hard. And a lot of people don't realize this. They should if they're getting into options. But you actually have to get over the strike price if you're going long on calls. But I have a really good video out there. Look it up on my channel, Micro to Macro. It's Options 101. And I think that will provide a lot of value to you if you don't know a lot about options. Sealess, Germany will come back. They always do. They won't. They're not. They're so... No, dude. That's past tense, brother. They're so heavily dependent on China, and China is handing their ass to them right now within the auto sector. Germany is a beautiful place. I visited there years ago, and I love it. But these people are stupid enough to turn off nuclear reactors and let their auto sector be destroyed by China. And they have nothing else going for them. Almost every chart you look at with Germany looks like failure. They are in a massive collapse. And then you have to think about what's happening in Europe, too, with all the illegal immigration occurring there. Well, I mean, it's legal now, right? In Europe, they don't give a shit. They'll let anybody over the border. They've started this process. We're just getting into it now. They're the leaders in Europe. But Germany is in major fucking pain. I don't believe they will recover from it. I think they're in a decline, a really big one. Multi-decade decline. All right, let's look here. I do want to jump over. Let's look at some of these others that have had interesting news events in the last 24 hours. Let's see how well Microsoft is doing today with their massive dividend. And then let's see how well Intel is doing today with the news about their Amazon agreement. So Microsoft up 1.8%. Got a little daily gap there, but it's starting to trend up. That's good for them. Let's look over at Intel, see how Intel is doing. Intel... Again, heck of a bounce, guys. This is such a pretty bounce, too, from a technical level. Peak volumes were right down here. Now we're above them. This is a huge time frame. This is going back to that late 90s. So, and we've got peak volume above us, and we've got 2 wicks right here that are getting us above it. And then it's only up 2.63%. There's so much for Intel to prove as a company. Their foundry business hasn't even started. They really need to prove that out. But if you look here, just to get back to their previous all-time high, which is a long time ago, 257% to get to where they were right before the dot-com bubble took off. So these guys have a lot to prove. I was so excited about their new CEO years ago, and he just really talked like he had it all together and was going to make it happen. But every time he makes promises, they don't come through. And Intel just doesn't seem to be the company that it used to be. It seems like all the good talent's at NVIDIA. So I don't know if I love this. I don't know how good they are. So yeah, not superly optimistic about Intel. Maybe it turns into something good, but at least they got good news today. All right, let's get back to chat. NVIDIA too. Should pull up NVIDIA, see how well we're doing there today. And then I'll just probably look at the broader view again, and then we'll see what else we have to talk about between now and 9 o'clock. So we're about 17 minutes away, guys, and then we get our last part of economic data today. And shortly after that is probably when I'm going to sign off. For NVIDIA, honestly, this looks like this is happening now, doesn't it? So I thought before that we were going to bounce off of this and launch. That obviously didn't happen. The market chose differently. But it sure seems like we're getting ready to break out and try and establish support on NVIDIA at the next fib level, also the breakout zone. Also, if we're looking at a shorter time frame here, like the last, like most of this year, peak volumes. So all these things coincide at once. And this is interesting. From a technical perspective, I found when you have a breakout zone, like a downward trend, and peak volumes, and a Fibonacci level, your chance of breaking out through this, it would be like water, and the water isn't rolling over the edge of the stream, but all of a sudden there's this huge opening. And that's what this is. When all these different things coincide, the chance of a breakout to the upside, I think, to the 127s on NVIDIA is super high. So I would bet on that. Even though I don't hold NVIDIA, might have some. But not enough to even count. Dustin P11 says, I'm so glad I sold Intel at 45. I wonder if Trump will help them out. Intel needs a lot of help. I mean, again, they've already got billions of dollars in government incentives coming their way. But yeah, it's just a lack of talent, man. They're going to have their foundry business will kick off in the next couple of years. Maybe that helps them. C-List, they realize they must focus on newcomers with skills to work in their economy. They'll lead in automation along with the USA and Japan. I hope so, man. I think that's optimistic. I hope so. I mean, their auto industry is going to die. Between Tesla and China, it's going to kill it. That was a decent part of their economy. And they do need lots of automation. Hopefully they do that. Roy says, PayPal. Is PayPal doing things, or is it collapsing? What's happening? Why are we talking about PayPal? Let me go back here. Let me go back to it. Up 1%, not a bad number. Don't hate the number, man. I think PayPal, I think the chances of us getting above 74 here in the next week are pretty high. And when that happens, if we could start establishing support over, let me just scroll out, I'll do the monthly view here. If we can establish support over what is the largest amount of volume in the company's history, if we can do that right around here at that 70, 74, 75 level, we're down 77% almost still from the all-time high on PayPal. But if we could do that this weekly, guys, this weekly, and this weekly, I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3 white soldiers pattern near the $80 range, or maybe up into the lower 80s to end the week. And if we get that 3 white soldiers pattern, that is the most fucking bullish pattern we could possibly have at this point in time. So PayPal could really rock. I think there's going to be lots of money made off of it. I think anybody who's been on the PayPal trade more than appreciates what's coming. Oh, let me see here. Sealess. Heinz, I think Germany has become aware of their bureaucratic and interference problem more than California and New York State. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's true. They have a lot to do, though. And the problem is they're encumbered by the rest of the EU and the illegal migration issues that are happening all across it. You have the Netherlands now looking to fight back against that. You've got all kinds, like numerous countries now that are like, Jesus Christ, we're dying. We need to fix this stuff. So you're going to see, hopefully you start to see it in awakening, because there isn't a lot of time left for Europe. A lot less time for Europe than there is for the United States. They haven't seen real growth in a very long time. So if they can benefit off of automation, and they can benefit off of a resurgence in the United States. But I can tell you, man, if the United States isn't leading, I don't know who is in the free world. I really don't know anymore. 846. So we're getting closer to that, guys. So we got our economic data over here. I don't know why this is still showing as refreshing, but what we're looking for now is business inventories. We want to see if these are going up and down, and then after that, we're going to go ahead and bail. I think they're probably just going to meander and be flat, so that's what we're looking at. If you guys have any other stocks you want to look at in the meantime, I'm going to jump over to the CME Fed Watch tool. I want to see if this thing's refreshed any more from the data that we've already been given. Nope, it looks like we just went down 2% on the probability of a 50 bip cut, but it's still almost 2 to 1. So it's still a very high chance that the Fed cuts 50 bips tomorrow. Let's see if the fear and greed indexes are changing at all. What about Boeing, Bitcoin man? Roy Hernandez says PayPal. We already looked at. Santa Stock says Palantir. Yeah, let's look at it. How are we doing? I know I pulled it up a second ago. Let me see. Got Palantir. You know what? I'll just pull it up again. Book it. I'm glad I have these buttons. These buttons are so handy. Palantir down 0.41%. Again, to be clear, I don't think it has to get to 46. But I think Palantir is not going to be the thing that you'll want to really focus on owning over the next 6 months at least. Then reevaluate. But yeah, so I think people should probably be taking their gains. Baba, that's a shitty company. Shitty company in a shitty country right now. Not to be confused with the people of China. I love the people of China, like 90% of them. It's the 10% that are involved in the CCP that I don't like. Baba's up 2.52%. Don't get me wrong. Baba, could it run to $120? Fuck yeah, totally. It could. But this is a shitty company in a shitty country right now. The CCP is dealing with utter economic collapse. I would not be investing money in China at all. That's my 2 cents, man. Boeing. All right, Bitcoin man's joking. He's being a dick. It's okay, though. I am very much a sarcastic person, so I appreciate that, sir. Dylan, what is the difference between cutting 2x 25 compared to 150? 150, it depends. It's all politics, man. So here's the deal. What I would expect out of Powell tomorrow is like, hey, guys, we're going to shock it. We want to go ahead and move 50 bips. But after that, we're thinking on a more conservative basis. We think the economy sits really strong. We've been saying that. He'll still say that it's perfectly fine and everything is okay and the economy looks great. The only difference will be that they're going to cut 50 right away because they have to. I think they have to. The Fed fund rate and then what the effective rate is not pretty right now. I should actually keep that on standby probably. I should have that as a metric. Is there a symbol, do you guys know, in TradingView for the Fed fund rate versus, no, I shouldn't go that way. I should actually go this way. And then, what am I doing? What am I doing? Load layout, not layout. I am tripping here, guys. I cannot, dude, just go to it and type it in. Retarded. Speaking of retardation, it's probably a good thing I didn't stay in West Virginia. All right, here we go. Fed fund. I'm trying to see if there's a good Fed funds. So there's the effective rates. Fed funds variation futures effective. Okay, so effective is EFFR. So let's just do this. We'll do a comparison here. Whoa. Oh, does this already show all this? No, those are moving averages. I'm going to kill those. We don't want that. We don't want that. And we don't need that. And then I want to compare this to the EFFR, right? Effective fund rate? Yeah, sure. Okay. All right, so let me see here. So here we go. So, and this is percentages. That's a little weird. I probably need to change this to real value. No, that isn't doing it. So I don't have the right comparisons, but I'll try and make it. I'll find the charts for it and I'll make it. But what we want to do is we want to understand, let's see, maybe I should go back to percentage. Nah, that's not right either. So what we want to do is we want to understand where the Fed fund rate is, where the actual rate is versus what the effective rate is. Like what essentially are we seeing for the current interest rate? And there's a large gap between them. The Fed fund rate again is in the fives, and the actual interest rates are probably sitting closer to the threes, even if into the twos here soon. So they need to be, they're being restrictive right now, which means that they're tighter than they need to be. What I think we're going to see tomorrow is we'll see them talk about maybe slowing down the runoff or stopping the runoff in the balance sheet. They could still do that for a while because they're able to play with some other levers behind the scenes to keep liquidity going with the Treasury. They can just keep pushing out short-dated Treasury issuance and really flood the market with dollars. But I do think they're going to talk about starting to stop that process of running off the balance sheet, which will be good because then they're not pushing down the markets by selling a bunch of investments in some of the biggest companies in the S&P. So that'll be good. And then I think they'll do that 50 bips to just shock the market in the same way they did it before, guys. You got to remember, they said that inflation was transitory, and then on a dime in one meeting, they flipped around in the other direction and started raising rates at the most aggressive rate in history. Why don't you think he'd use that same tactic towards reducing rates, where he just smacks us in the face with the 50 and then says, don't worry, guys, we'll just do 25s. Everything is good. And then starts lowering rates. And right now in the economy, I mean, things don't look like they're falling apart. So there's no reason why we shouldn't see the markets go up. Could they have some weird reaction over the short term and go down? Yes, especially if we run up into the Fed meeting. But it doesn't mean that that's a big deal. Heinz says clove. I used to smoke cloves when I was a kid. Oh, shitty cigarette, bro. What does clove do? What does clove do? Let's look. And so for people who don't know, on YouTube, I can't do this on X yet because X doesn't want to give me subscriptions, just like they don't want to give that to a bunch of people that are waiting to, like my friend Caleb, and I don't think Mortensen Bach has got it. Whatever. I don't know why we're not getting subscriptions, but we're not. I think it would be brilliant for them to do that, and I do think they'll do it soon. I love X. It's like my favorite platform on earth right now. But if you guys want to have me normally look at stocks and pull them up, I ask that you contribute under YouTube, under the membership there, under just like $2 a month. And then I'll pull up financials and technicals on investments that are out there. Now, Clove has already had a hell of a run. I actually probably should redraw this into a... might even be ready to do like a fib extension on this one, but you can see this thing's already hit the 200 moving average on the weekly, and it looks like it could go up here to that first fib level. Oh, this is completely off though. Oh no, it's not. Wow, this was a crazy stock. But I probably need to redraw this as a trend-based fib extension, but it's already run a lot, dude. So I don't know what to say. It went from 61 cents all the way up to almost $4. That's a heck of a run. If we look at the financials on this, they better look just amazing, because with that kind of run, you've already gotten so much in the way of gains. What? So revenue is in decline. They've been burning down cash. They're positive cash flow, kind of. Operating expenses are coming down. I don't know why this ran so much. This is not a good-looking company. I wouldn't own it. Next, Trupanion, Trup. What is true? All right, let's look at coin. Somebody want to look at coin first? I live for the day when PayPal 2025 calls turn green. If they do, bro. If they do, Tezos. I hope that's true. If it runs really hard in the next couple of months, you might get an opportunity where you've made back a lot of loss. If that happens, you might want to use it as a time to get out. And I'll tell you guys, when I'm selling out of anything, guys, on X, if you guys don't follow it yet, on X, I post my trades when I'm getting in and out of things. I probably won't do that in the future. What I'll do is I'll put that under the Discord to try and increase membership to help support the channel. But anybody who's on the Discord, it won't be crazy. It'll probably $5, man. We'll drop the YouTube shit and the X subscriptions, if I can, down to $1. I don't know how low I can go. I'll drop them down to $1 a piece, and then it'll be like $5 for the Discord. And then I'll have maybe tiers where if people want to contribute more, maybe there's some other incentive. I don't know if there's additional things you guys would want. just to contribute to the channel and, increase the amount of revenue coming in. But the Discord will be great if we can do that and then get away. People don't realize this, but YouTube takes 55% of advertising revenue, and then they take like 35%, I want to say, of membership revenue and things like donations and stuff. Actually, donations might count as ad revenue. So they take so much money from people, creators. They're taking like half the money that's put in. So it's just a crazy amount of money, and I want to get away from that. Plus, I don't want to be dependent upon the censorship of the YouTube apparatus. So we want to get the fuck out. So Coin, let's get over there. Let's look at Coin, see how Coin's doing, at least from a technical level. Maybe, do you want to look at finances too? I don't know. Cloves smelled really good until they were burning. Oh, dude, it's just the worst thing. It's just like, I don't know. It's like smoking a Christmas tree. Just fucked up. All right. Coinbase. I do think we found the bottom on Coinbase. I do think this will end up turning into a good investment. But is it as good as some of the others? I don't know. Still down 42, 43%. It dropped a total of 50%, almost 48% from the high. Excuse me. So it can go a lot higher. We have about 2 minutes on the business inventory, so we'll take a look at that in a second. But I think you're looking at a scream higher here. When Bitcoin starts to take off, the ability for you to get to 330. If Bitcoin gets to 92, you're getting to 330 on this one. And 330, what is that? How much of an increase is that? It's 105%. That's pretty good. But again, CleanSpark, 230%. CleanSpark. That's my 2 cents. And again, I don't know that Coinbase is making as enough off of the custody as what they were hoping to. Is YouTube universally 55% of ad revenue or just smaller streams? I think it changes as you get bigger. They might take less from the really big guys, but there's been no competition to YouTube, so they really don't have to do shit. So I think it's 55%, but I think in the future, X especially, Rumble, all these other platforms that are focusing on video, or that are working their way to video. Rumble's probably better for that now. X is getting better. They just got their little TV app, which is cool. You got to have subscriptions though, guys. If you can't have subscriptions, it's kind of fucking stupid on X. You might want to watch people's videos. So I do think they're going to get a lot better too, though. And X is so competitive, guys. That's another reason why it's smart to stream on X. If you're new to this, stream on X, guys, because initially up until the first $55,000 in revenue on X, they give you 97% of it. And then I think after that, it drops to like 93 or 90% after $55,000 in revenue. So X doesn't care about the ad revenue. They want to grow the platform and destroy YouTube. And I think with those kind of incentives, they're going to crush them. Laying Focus says it's 55% for me too after 10 years and 1 million subs. Yeah, that's fucking stupid. But that's going to change, bro. I think they're going to have to give more of it back and if you don't stream, Laying Focus, I don't know what your channel is, but if you don't stream on X, do it. I am seeing pretty good numbers. I don't know what it's going to look at like as far as payouts, but I'm getting on some of these videos, I'm getting over 100 hours on X right out of the gate of view time, and that's a good number, I think, with ad revenue. If you think about it, ad revenue for little tiny posts, where maybe even if you got 1 million people to look at a post, if they're looking at it for 10 seconds, that's probably not as beneficial as people watching videos for an hour or two. So I don't know, man. I think, especially when you're giving them all the money, I think X is going to grow like crazy, and I love that. I want to see YouTube and their censorship get penalized. I want to see them be forced to be competitive, because people like Laying Focus, who 1 million subs, 10 years of doing this, bullshit. Absolute bullshit for them to be taking over half of your money, bro. Absolute bullshit. All right, let's keep going through here. And it looks like we probably just got our data. Let's go over to that real quick. 0.4% inventories. So we're seeing a slight increase in inventories. Forecast was 0.2. Consensus was 0.3. We got 0.4 for month-over-month data. Not a crazy number. So inventories are building up. Maybe that means retail slows down a little bit in the future too. But nothing crazy. Good stuff. All right, so let me see. So we did coin. Somebody said Troopanion. What is that? What is Troop? I can look at it. I'll do it real quick. I probably won't stick around too much longer because, again, I'm trying to find balance in my health and personal sanity. And when you're on X, and YouTube all day, I don't know if your personal sanity and health are really being focused on. Maybe if I got like a treadmill and I was walking like a hamster, maybe that would help. I don't know. But I do need to move. I need to move and get exercise. I force myself before each YouTube video to do like 25 to 30 push-ups too. It's like my way of like getting in the workout and doing something in the day too. So this is interesting. I don't know what the business model is here. We should probably look at that. Multi-line insurance, it says, and we're seeing a good bounce, triple bottom, clear. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, most beautiful triple bottom you could see. Kind of completed this measured move up here, or at least close to it. It could go higher. It could go up to like the 50s or even up to like 62 and still have that be considered a part of the measured move. Actually, 62. The 200 moving average is probably where we're going. I'll look at the finances real quick just to see if there's anything interesting in here for it. I love that I'm getting chat in X and YouTube. I love that. I'm trying to see if I can add to Rumble. I might make that a focus today too, along with the Discord. I don't like the fact this company doesn't make money. I like the fact that they're kind of trending towards making money. Their revenue's increasing pretty good. 16% year over year is a good number. Forward PE is 312. Ouch. Steven Toro. Hey, welcome back, bro. Love you, dude. Hope you're doing good. He's been following me on X for a long time. Good dude. So EPS, it looks like they're trying to get into positive territory. Revenue growth is still growing, but maybe tapering off. The valuation is stupid high on this thing. I would personally not own this stock. Dilution is still occurring. I wouldn't own this stock. I don't know if they're selling or insiders selling it. Let's just take a look. They did buy actually a little bit in Q1 of 2024. They sold pretty good in 2019 and 2018. They were more selling, and then 2020 more selling than buying. Short interest is stupid high on this company at 38% of float. That's probably what's keeping this company alive and why it's bouncing. This to me looks like death. I wouldn't own it. I would not own it. Sweet. I'll get to yours in a second too, Steven. I'll try and get through some rest here, guys, and then the rest will have to be in the afternoon in the market recap at 3 p.m. But let's just go down. Dylan said Feds are not forward-looking, though, because they wait for data. They do that. They do whatever is convenient. Let's just say that. They do whatever is convenient. They'll tell you inflation's transitory until they absolutely can't get away with it. And then they'll do things like they try and front-load the pain so that they have to do less with rates. So, but they are backward looking, but I can tell you they look at forward too. They got a plan. They just don't tell you they look at it because they want an excuse for whatever they're doing. DeFi activated. Jesse's options video is awesome. Have watched it 3 times, learned so much. Leaps are the way. Leaps, again, I think longer dated options are the only way to go. You're going to lose 90% of the time people lose in options. 90% of the time, 90% of the options expire worthless. So if you're going to do this stuff, I don't hold most of them. I've only executed options like once or twice technically. Most of the times I sell out of them way earlier because the extrinsic value, I think, is where the value is. Definitely watch the video. I think it's worth it. DeFi activated. No short-term stuff. That's more or less suicided unless you really know what you're doing. Yeah, it's just gambling, I think, especially zero-day calls. When you know you can lose 90% of your money, why are you giving yourself a day to lose 90% of your money? Absolute fucking retardation right there. Lance, cloves smelled really good until they were burning. Sealess, let me see here. Purely going on genetic balance. I think I should have offspring with a Tibetan woman since I'm Northern European, high altitude tolerance. I'm glad you thought about it. I never thought about that. I just was like, hey, I really like you. We should spend time together. And then we got married eventually. I didn't think to that degree. So I like that you're being thoughtful, Silas. Livongo, Live and Go, Growl and Lulu. We'll see if I can get to it. I might do that later. I might do it later, guys. I think I might call it on stocks. I'm just going to try and get through unless there's one that's really interesting and needs to be done. Roy Hernandez said on X said $20 is $20. Silas is YouTube universally. Okay, we already talked about that. V said, look, Brian Armstrong sold more shares. He only holds 526 shares now. Has been selling for 2 years. Yeah, I think that he's going to sell into this. He has a shit ton. So that's actually probably pretty normal. You'll see him probably really dump a lot when Bitcoin gets to like 150K. I would imagine he's a smart man. He knows that he can do buybacks later. Or they'll do a lot of share dilution near the top too, on top of that. Lane Focus is 55. Okay, Silas, Go X. I was hoping, and Lane Focus, do you have your channel too? If you have your channel and want to throw it out, do it. Otherwise, if you don't, that's cool too. See, let's go X. I was hoping that they'd do that. Earns out. They already are. Yeah, X is doing a great job. Best place to make money, I think, in the future. I'm very excited for the growth on X. I think it'll surpass my YouTube by a long shot in the future. Let's go X. I hope that what they're doing that. Oh, no, Steven Toro became a member, level, starter pack. Since you just became a member, I will go back and look at what you're talking about. Are there any attractive options for CLSK, or are they expensive now? I have a decent stock position. They're actually not expensive, and I still think it's a good thing. But again, just be prepared for 100% risk, man, because it's time, right? But here's my thought process. I'll go over it real quick since you're my buddy and you just subscribed. So I'm doing the July 18th, 2025, 37. I still think they're cheap. I'm down 19% on them. So it's not like Hood where I'm up 52%, and it was a much better deal when I got it, okay? And now if we look at CleanSpark, so 37 strike, that's really unrealistic, right? Like that's 250, 300% higher than we are right now. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that, Jesse? Well, it's not actually that bad, because it's a huge increase, actually. It's a 400% increase. But why do I think that's possible? Because we were already at 24. And if we get to 92,000, I think you will get to a bare minimum of 33, 34 on CleanSpark. And so I think the 92,000 can come between the end of the year and the beginning of next year. And so if you believe that too, and you believe we're ready for a massive spring, you can get 2x the underlying. So if we get to even just the all-time high of $25, that's 170% gain. I can get 2x that on the options. And again, run the calculator, look at my Options 101 video, but that would be 340% gains off the money that I have invested, and I've got about 180,000 in it right now. So 340% gains on 180,000 isn't bad. I actually think we can go to the 33 range, though. That's 255%. So again, I could get a 500% return on my investment, which gets me closer to $1 million in gains on CleanSpark. And then I would just convert that over to spread the wealth between all my other miners, since this is my multiple on the miners play right now. So I'm really excited about this. That's the one I'm going with, though, man. Hopefully that answers all your questions. If you got more, let me know. Manny247, a lol, YouTube tax is what Starmer is going to hit us with in October. Alcohol prices going up 30%. Keir Starmer is such a piece of shit in the UK. I'm sorry, if you support him, you're an idiot. He already is taxing the shit out of the country, and he's having to do that to pay for all the illegal immigrants that he's letting into it, and the fact that the UK is completely unmanaged. When I remember Brexit happening years ago, I never would have thought that there'd be 4 fucking prime ministers in 2.5 years, and that the UK would turn into a communist dictatorship like it's starting to do right now. It's absolutely fucking absurd, dude. Just absurd. Well, and you can't even drink your problems away living into the shit country that it's turning into. I mean, it's laying focus. Manny247. What's the YouTube tax? Lance, do you have any content on covered calls? I don't really fuck around with covered calls, but I might play around with them. I'm probably going to play around with them when I start to think we're toppy in different things. So, yeah, we'll see. Covered calls might be another way for me to hedge. So there's probably a lot of things I'm going to be doing. So I'll probably make a video on it, but maybe it's 6 months from now. It's going to be a ways out, because I think we're going straight up, and I don't want you to do covered calls when the market's going up. Dylan, C-list en route to creating a genetically stronger generation. C-list, yes, on Fed, plus it's election season. Bad news would likely be delayed until December unless super pressing. And if you look at markets, guys, and after the election, they go up, because everybody promises more and more and more. And so they go up and away. That's all markets know how to do. I'm going to pull up the stock market heat map. So Tesla, 3%. Oh, I'm probably making some money today. Love it. Amazon doing well. Oh, what a pretty looking heat map, guys. Oh, love it. All right, let's keep going here. Roy Hernandez, Eli Lilly. Hit me up in the market recap and I'll do more. C-list, Jesse, buying today. Would you buy Hood or CleanSpark options? I would buy CleanSpark options. Hood's going to do really good, but I would buy CleanSpark options. I think that's where the money's at, guys. C-list, Dylan, possibly, but I do believe in love. I want a kind, smart, and playful woman. Definitely focus on love, whether she's from Tibet or not. Focus on love. Focus on somebody you're going to want to be around in 10 years or 20 years. Steven Toro, thanks. F. Christoph, Tesla is moving up 3. I know, dude. Jeez. Steven Toro, I remember you had some conflicting feelings with Mara. I've been out. No, I think a lot of those are gone. I didn't like some of the stuff they were doing. I had this inner battle with whether or not big industrial miners are good for the ecosystem. Also, I didn't love how they were doing like some of the shitcoin stuff for diversification, because they have like, I won't even go into all that here, but it was getting a little weird. But here's the thing. Fred Thiel is brilliant. The CEO is brilliant, and they're smart enough to. They're not great at their mining operations, but they're smart enough to buy Bitcoin on lows, and then capitalize off of it when it gets near the highs of the cycle, and then turn that into just a shit ton of money. And so I think that will play out well for them. But again, they're a large cap, so they're not going to move as much as the smaller ones. I would much rather be in a clean spark personally. And then I like Bitfarms, and then I like Cypher, okay, but then I like Iron if you're looking at an HPC play. I'm still not sold on it. I only have like 0.3% in it. Did you reconsider buying the stock? And yeah, I did. In terms of multiplier, yes, totally. All right, so I answered that for you. So I think that's it for now, guys. I do want to look at Tesla again real quick, and then maybe see how it's doing too down below here. I don't know if all this is refreshed. Let me move this off the screen. I don't like showing my account number all the time. I don't want people like trying to hack me, fucking whatever bullshit. But let's see if it takes a while. No, it doesn't look like. I was trying to see if things had updated on Ally, but I don't think they have. Let's see. Oh, no, they have. They have. Okay. Let me just readjust this real quick, and I'll pull this over to the other screen so we can look at how things are going with the port today. Port being portfolio. So let me drop that in. So up 77,000, probably 100,000 today. 6 figures. Don't hate that number. And then if we look, obviously the MVPs today are PayPal, up almost 1%. Look at the multiplier on PayPal, guys. There's a reason I own this. I've got a 7x multiplier on the return right now for the options contract for at least the 2026s. The 2025s are dead until we really scream. If PayPal gets near 100 and it does it in short order, then maybe some life will come back to these 2025s. Otherwise, they're just a complete write-off. And I lost a lot of money in them. Most people would cry at $350,000, but for me, that's just a Tuesday, because we make asymmetric bets in different directions, and we capitalize on some and we don't on others. And I think the January 2026 is with a 7x return, again 10x potential upside each. So 10% move could give me 70% on these options for the January 2026s at the 95 strike. If I was buying, that's what I would be doing. The gamblers will pick the 2025s. But Tesla today up almost 3%, and it's given about a 2x right now. It's probably going to give a 3 or 4. It will get up to 5, but I'm up about 78% on these. But you have to remember I cashed out 350,000 already, so I'm doing really good on the Tesla calls. Loving Tesla today, guys. Loving Tesla. I think that's it for today, though. I need to get out and do some stuff, and you guys should probably chill too and enjoy life. So we're gonna call it here. I'm gonna give us some outro music. Since today is a Tesla day, we're going to end it on this. And again, I will see you guys at 3 p.m. on the dot. Peace out, guys. Bye.
Optimus, the robotic humanoid under development by Elon Musk's Tesla Inc., is sparking concerns around job security.
This is not financial advice, silly.
Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Turned up to work and went to start my day. Was barely late, like 9:08. So took my coffee break. Then I got hungry, so I just stopped by the free buffet. But then to my dismay, I heard somebody say, "Attention humans, you have lost, you have not met your quota. Pack your belongings in a box, now it's over." Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. But I'm in management. I work work hard every day. I need these benefits, health and 401k. How could they do this shit though? Where will I trade my crypto? I had a second monitor for Twitter, where will it go? Somebody please stop the bus, I mean not the fuss, but there's lots of us. And now you say you won't pay me to play ping pong because Optimus. I mean, who employs a damn humanoid? Some new droid for you to exploit, deploy to destroy your human droid. No lunch breaks, great, get a few deployed.
Your time is up, human inferior to me. I'll take it from here, get relieved of your duty.
Robot just stole my job, I'm there like oh my god. I blame it on Elon, he's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job, I'm there like oh my god. I blame it on Elon, he's taking all I got.
It's okay, human, please don't cry. You can always go and become a Twitter thread guy. Make pretty pictures with Midjourney on your new PC. Or make some YouTube videos about ChatGPT. Sucker.
Robot just stole my job, I'm there like oh my god. I blame it on Elon, he's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job, I'm there like oh my god. I blame it on Elon, he's taking all I got.